Welcome to Godzilla Month 2022. This will be the first video that I do for the start of the month for Godzilla's celebration, his birthday, all that good stuff. And I thought for the first video, I'm gonna bring it back a little bit to an older video I did a long time ago, how I became a Godzilla fan.
Hey G-fans, GojiFan93 here, and well, it's my 100th video, and I thought I'd just, talk about how I became a Godzilla fan, or what made me become a hardcore, die-hard, whatever you want to call it.
So for a lot of you guys, some of you might not know how I got introduced to Godzilla, how I became a fan, all that good stuff. So in this video, I just wanted to talk about basically how I first got started and basically to now. I was born in 1993, so that was like in the midpoint of the Heisei series as it was showing off. Now, of course, at the time, Godzilla was not readily available in the States. The only thing that we really had at the time was Trendmasters coming out. And if I remember correctly, when I was 2 years old, my dad told me that I first was introduced to Godzilla through the original film from 1954, although it probably was the American version, King of the Monsters. But I don't remember watching that film for the first time. The film that I remember the most, that I vividly remember watching for the first time, was Godzilla 1984. Again, probably the American version though, because obviously the Japanese version was definitely not available at that time.
I do remember that Godzilla 1984 was the first movie that I saw and actually comprehended and actually like.
And I just remember watching this film so vividly we had like one of those big RCA TVs back in the day, if you remember. Like they were flat screens, but they had like that big back to them. And I just remember watching 84 and just seeing Godzilla for the first time, and just that suit and the roar and everything about it, the music and everything. It's just so nostalgic to me. And every time I watch that film, I feel like a kid again. And so seeing that for the first time and probably also being 2 years old and watching King of the Monsters for the first time, it got me glued right away to the series. Again, since it was like the mid to late 90s, the internet really wasn't a thing as it is nowadays. So when I was growing up being a fan of Godzilla, I had no idea that the franchise was as expansive as it was at the time. I had no idea that the film had eras, the Showa era, now the Heisei era, and that the films were spanning since the 50s all the way up until the mid-90s. So I had no idea that Godzilla had multiple films at the time. I really only thought it was just the black and white film and 84. But it wasn't until you started going to Blockbuster and you started to go to all these other movie stores and you saw VHS tapes and you saw all these other Godzilla shows. And I also remember on TV, on the Sci-Fi Channel, they would have these like shows, I think it was called like Monster Madness or something, and they would have these marathons of Godzilla. And of course, with those, I watched a lot of Showa films, mainly the 70s. It was a lot of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Megalon. Those kind of films were shown a lot during those marathons. And I remember my dad and I would wake up early to record these on VHS tapes. We would, make sure that we'd wake up super early, get the VHS tape in, and start recording so that I could have these movies on VHS. And then of course, being a kid and, having toys, really the first few things I remember getting, probably, a bunch of Spider-Man toys, Power Ranger toys, all that. But the Godzilla toys I remember a lot. And the first toy line that I remember getting was the Trendmaster figures. Now, I have a funny story with this guy actually, but I'll go into that later. But I do remember way back in the day, I would go to the old KB stores and in the malls. I remember running through the aisles trying to find the Godzilla section, and I would get it and I would see all of these Trendmaster figures. I'd see those 4-inch ones, the 6-inch ones, the big large scale guys. It blew my mind seeing these guys. And through Trendmasters, I found out a lot of other different Godzilla characters in different movies. I found a lot of different characters through the Trendmaster line. Like I had no idea who Space Godzilla was. I had no idea who Mecha Godzilla was. It was all this new stuff, and I wanted to learn so much about the series because of that. And so yeah, I collected a bunch of the smaller guys. I would beg my parents for that. And a really awesome memory I have, especially when it comes to Trendmasters, is this guy. This guy right here is the Trendmasters large-scale Godzilla. And I think originally he came with like armor. It was like silver pieces that he came with, but I don't have that anymore. And funny enough, this guy had sounds. You would hit this little button and he would roar, but this is pretty much what he sounds like now. Oh, nope, he doesn't even work anymore. I tried turning it on and it doesn't even work. So never mind, but he would roar back in the day. But the best thing I remember with this guy was actually, I remember going into a KB toy store and I remember seeing this guy on the shelf. And I remember just going to my parents, like, please, please, I want this guy. He's so cool, please. And they said, no, not right now. We don't have enough money for him. And I was a little sad about that, but of course, my parents were like, well, if you do your chores, we'll give you an allowance and we'll get him for you. So of course, throughout, I think it was like a week or two, and I was like super good boy. Like I was doing my chores, I was doing everything, I was, doing everything my parents wanted me to do. So of course I was doing all my chores and I was doing everything that I needed to do. And came the time where my parents were like, all right, let's get in the car, let's go to the mall and let's go get this guy for you because you've been so good. And I was super stoked, super excited. And we went to the toy store and I ran up and of course, all sold out.
Saw him. I don't remember how old I was, but I was probably like 5, 6, or 7. And I saw him, I was like, oh, Mom, can I please get this guy? Can I please get him? And obviously they were like, well, no, we don't have the money for it. And I'm just like, oh, please. And they're like, well, if you, save up money and do chores and stuff like that, then we'll get it for you the next time. So I was like, okay. So I did all the things, did all my chores and all that. And then when it was finally time, I think it was like a week later or maybe 2 weeks later, and I was actually able to go back to the toy store, and it was gone.
They did not have this guy on the shelf anymore. He was gone, completely sold out, and my parents were like, oh no, like what are we gonna do? We just promised our little boy that we'd get him this Godzilla figure and he's nowhere to be found. So basically, long story short, my parents had to go through a lot of hurdles and hoops and hurdles to get this guy, and I've had him in my collection for ever since I was a little boy. I mean, I don't remember the exact age I was, but I was probably like maybe 6 or 7 years old. So yeah, again, the internet was starting to become more of an accessible thing at that time in the late 90s. So that's when my parents finally got it and we were able to log on. Do you guys remember AOL? You'd log on and it'd be like that horrible sound playing in the background. And then also you had to make sure that no one was on the phone, because if someone was on the phone, it would kick you off the internet. And it's good times, right? Good times. So going on the internet, I found just the whole world of Godzilla at that time. I remember going on sites for looking at toys and finding out movies. That's when I learned about the whole Showa series. That's when I learned about the Heisei series with Godzilla vs. Biollante. I didn't even know Biollante was a thing until I found it on the internet. I was like, whoa, what is this movie? I looked at the poster and it was like, wow, that's awesome. One of the sites I remember the most when it came to the figure collecting was actually a place called Chibi Godzilla Toys, and that site had a plethora of just Godzilla toy information and all that. I think also Clawmark Toys was another website I would go to just to, figure out like what kind of toy lines there were. That's when I started to find out what Bandai was. Is when I found out like what little high grade figures are. So my knowledge with Godzilla was starting to I was starting to learn more about the franchise and just continuing to get more involved in it. So then of course the 90s were wrapping up, and one of the biggest things in terms of Godzilla was Godzilla 1998, of course. And I remember all of the marketing at the time. I remember the campaign when it came to Taco Bell and like the semis that had like, oh, his foot's as big as this semi, or the posters, his eyes as big as this poster, or this, the big billboard or something. Like, I just remember seeing Godzilla everywhere and I was super, super excited about it. And then I remember when I saw it in theaters, I mean, as a little kid, I wasn't super critical on movies, and I didn't really know any better. And so I did enjoy the film as a kid. But there was a little part of me, though, that did feel that it was a little off from the Japanese Godzilla, of course. But then, of course, I didn't have to wait too long, because literally 2 years later, we got Godzilla 2000, and I was, like, super enthralled with that. I remember seeing that. I vividly remember seeing Godzilla 2000 in theaters for the first time, and that was such a treat, because that was my very first Japanese Godzilla film that I was able to see in theaters.
1998. I remember all the advertisement for the American Godzilla movie, and just like me and other Godzilla fans, we were so excited about it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I got a lot of merchandise, and of course I liked it because I was a kid and it was like all flashy and stuff like that. But there was a little bit inside of me that still said, this isn't Godzilla. There was like that little piece of me that was a little bit disappointed in the movie. And So once that all was done, and then right at, a year later, all of a sudden Godzilla 2000 is announced, and I just, my head explodes.
So pretty much from there, the early 2000s, I was just continuing to be a fan, following up with the series. That's when the Millennium series started to come out, and I still was not as knowledgeable with the series, so I didn't know that then, since, all of a sudden every year a new Godzilla movie was coming out, because in the States we weren't getting the films right away, we were getting them like a year later. And even then, it was still hard to get those films. But it wasn't until TriStar got the rights, from doing 1998, that they were able to distribute some DVDs. So I remember having a bunch of Godzilla DVDs that I think it was like the 50th anniversary movies that had a bunch of Showa films and all that, and some of the Heisei films. They had like the dual movies, like I think it was Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Mothra, that was on like one disc. But the weirdest thing I remember with those movies, if you guys ever have those discs, remember when you'd open it up, it would be one disc, and then they put both movies on one disc, but it was on both, like one side was King Ghidorah and the other side was Mothra, and so you'd have to be careful when you're putting it in, because you'd get all fingerprints messed up on it, and it would ruin the disc. And it was like, that was like one of the worst like ideas that they ever had. Like, why not put two discs? Ugh. Anyways, so I remember those. That's when like DVDs were starting to become a thing, and I started to collect Godzilla movies on DVD, and that was like my main goal. I wanted to be able to get every single Godzilla film on DVD. So with the power of the internet, I was scouring the places on like eBay. If any of you guys remember iOffer, that was another site that I went to find a lot of films, and one of them was 1984, of course, and I think it was 1984, Biollante, and Megalon that just were not available at all. And I think those ones I got bootlegs from. And I remember 84 I got off of iOffer, and it was basically a VHS rip just put onto a DVD, and that was kind of crap. But I also remember when I discovered what region lock stuff was. And I remember buying a Region 3 Hong Kong Godzilla 1984 disc DVD, and I just remember the disappointment that when I bought it, I was super excited, and I put it into my DVD player, and it was like, sorry, can't play this, it's a different region. I was like, well, great, now I just have a paperweight because I can't do anything with the DVD.
I don't know, I went on the internet, I found like bootlegged versions of Megalon and Biollante and 1984, because when I got them from I think it was eBay or something like that, and I opened the disc, or I opened the case, and there was just a blank disc, and when I put it in the DVD, it was just this like bland main menu with the video, and then I clicked on it, and then basically it was like VHS quality on a DVD. So I was like, oh, okay, it was probably just someone ripped the VHS and then put it on a disc and then sold it. So I got pretty much ripped off, but and then on eBay I also found the 1984 Godzilla movie on DVD. It was more legit, but the problem is I didn't know, because I was little, I didn't know about region locked. I got the 1984 disc, and when I popped it in, it said, oh, it can't play because it's region locked. And I was like, what the hell? And I looked back, and it had a 3 on it, the region code 3, which...
And then going on that, 2002 introduced Bandai Creation, and that was a huge thing for me. Treadmasters obviously was pretty much dead at this point in the early 2000s, and I remember going into, I can't remember exactly what the store was, because I don't think KB Toys was still around. It was probably Toys R Us or something. But I remember actually finding this little guy right here, the Rainbow Mothra from Bandai Creation. This is actually from 2002. This is the original Rainbow Mothra from the Bandai Creation line, Wave 1. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because obviously the figures were more accurate to the films. And so then I just started collecting Bandai Creation, and that was like I was addicted to that. I was like, oh, I gotta get all these figures, and some of them just I couldn't get. Like Mechagodzilla was never available. I remember when like Wave 4 or 5, when Final Wars was out, like I could not find a Godzilla Final Wars character. I remember getting Rodan and Angus pretty easily. I can't remember the other character. Oh, I think it was Gigan. Yeah, Gigan was another hard find. And then of course when it came to video games, obviously the Pipeworks trilogy was coming out. 2002 we got Destroy All Monsters, and 2004 Save the Earth. And with Destroy All Monsters, I have a really fun story that I remember going to GameStop, or at the time I think it was called EB Games, and I remember seeing Godzilla Destroy All Monsters on the shelf, and I was like on GameCube, and I wanted to get it so bad. and I had to save up all my pennies. Back when games were $50 new, if you guys remember that. And I just remember, once again, saving up, doing chores, and then going to EB Games or GameStop and buying the game, bringing it home and playing it. I just loved that time, just playing Godzilla Destroy Monsters for the first time. But with Unleashed, I remember actually following that game since it was like announced. I remember seeing an old IGN video that had a trailer of it that first was like a preview. And I remember going onto the Godzilla Unleashed website every day after school, and I would look at the player cards and I would see like what new characters they would unveil, and it was just the most exciting thing. And then when Unleashed finally came out, I remember it was actually, I had a GameFly subscription. If any of you guys remember GameFly, it was a rental service. I don't even know if they're still around. But I actually remember the first time playing Godzilla Unleashed was actually through GameFly. I didn't actually go out and buy the game. I actually rented it from GameFly. And of course, you know, you guys know my opinions on Unleashed. I played it and I was a little disappointed, but it was still cool. It was still a memory. And then really that was kind of it. I just continued being a fan of Godzilla. I eventually found out, I think it was like in 7th grade, so like either 2006 or 2007, I actually found out that Godzilla Final Wars was the final film in the whole series, and that actually came out in 2004, so I was a little bit behind. I was like, what? Like, I thought it was a 2007 film, and I thought Godzilla was still going, but nope. And then of course we got the rumors of the Godzilla 3D IMAX movie, which didn't go anywhere, but that ended up turning out to be, you know, Godzilla 2014. And there was also that fan film, Godzilla 0 Hour, that was with Godzilla vs. Gamera, and that was a disappointment because that fell apart. I don't even really remember what happened to that film. And then, yeah, I mean, yeah, throughout the 2000s, it was just, that was it. I just continued to collect Godzilla movies and merchandise. I did eventually end up having a complete collection of the Godzilla movies on DVD, or still at the time you couldn't get all the movies, you know, that were officially licensed by Toho. And then 2013 came around, and well, I started GojiFan, and then from there it was just, you know, a huge thing of me being a fan of Godzilla, and that is history that we all know. So that is basically my long-winded story about me becoming a Godzilla fan and just my history on how I got started and where, you know, just my fun memories and all that. So I just wanted to share my memories about, you know, becoming a Godzilla fan as a kid, and that was pretty much it. More Godzilla videos to come for Godzilla Month 2022, so I hope you guys are excited and ready to go, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, so stay big, G-fans.
Hey guys, welcome to another video for Godzilla Month. This one is actually another unexpected one, but I kind of knew I was going to do it because we actually have two brand new short films from Toho, one being a CGI type video and then the other one being a Suitimation video, and I am super excited. So just like last year, Toho has produced a short film with Suitimation, where it's Godzilla fighting a classic foe. Now, last year it was Godzilla vs. Hedorah for the 50th anniversary of Hedorah. So this year, naturally, they're celebrating Gigan. So it's the year of Gigan, which is awesome. And they literally have built a new suit from the ground up to represent the Showa design, and it's awesome, and it's the Final Wars Godzilla again. So this is really, really exciting. But the other cool thing is that we also have this thing called Godzilla versus Gigan Rex, and it's like this CGI like animation fight. So we get like two cool Godzilla fights here, and I just wanted to, like I did last year, share my reaction to these videos. So without further ado, first off, we're going to look at Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex. So here we go. I'm going to click. I'm going to maximize this and play. Okay, interesting. That's the oh. That's like Destroya. I must have to put on captions because it's in Japanese. Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex. I have no idea what to expect from this.
Oh man, that is a pristine CGI. That is a very interesting looking Gigan. Wow. He's very, it's like, he's very smooth looking. His texture looks a little weird, but that's okay. What's funny though is that this looks a lot like Methlo Kaiju fans videos. So that's how like good his quality is. It's almost as good as this, really. Oh, his... What? There's What? What is going on here? There's 4 now? Oh shit, yeah. Classic roar. That's an awesome design, by the ways. I love that. Oh shit. Wow. Yep. Oh, that guy again has like red blades on him. Oh. Goodness. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There's the red guy. I remember seeing a bit about him. Wow. Oh, nice. What the hell? Oh, he doesn't have... I just noticed he doesn't have buzzsaws. Wow. Interesting music in the background. It's like this weird classical style. It's very interesting. Oh my god, it's an army of Gigans. What the hell? What the actual crap? That is... Oh my god. Hey! It's a white beam. Holy shit. That's like a burning Godzilla look, but it's like white. That's... This is nuts, man. Get him? Okay, yeah, that, alright. That was crazy. Like, all right, that was new. Yeah, that was like a little weird, but new-ish. I'm not sure I fully like the Gigan design. It's a bit weird to me, but overall though, I mean, that was fun, you know, entertaining enough. So I like the animation. Again, it was very like, if you guys haven't seen or know who Metho Kaiju Fan is, like that animation is very similar to his work. Like that's how good Metho Kaiju Fan is. But okay, so there is that. So now we get into the stuff that I'm actually super excited about. I have been waiting all day at work to finally come home and be able to watch this. The Godzilla vs. Gigan 2022 fight, rematch, whatever. This one I am the most excited about. So here we go. And in 3, 2, 1. Yes. Yes. Okay, interesting. Oh, it's a continuation. That's cool, they're recapping the last one. Oh, here we go. Zamir, does the Final War suit look different in this one? It looks a little different. It's like the head looks normal, but like up till here it looks a tad. Had to change it. Alright, here we go. Let's see what this new Gigan suit is. Oh yeah. Oh, we get a cool title card. That's awesome. Reminds me of like the Heisei and Millennium films. Get a good old night battle here. Oh gosh. This is too awesome, man. I was waiting for some Gigan music to pop up. It's like, come on. He looks great. I mean, that looks like it's a great suit. Oh, I love the Final Wars. I'm actually really happy they're continuing to use the Final Wars suit, or at least the Final Wars design, because I'm pretty sure that suit's been modified. It doesn't look similar to the. It doesn't even look similar to the last one, really. See, what's nice is that this Gigan's not going to go down as easy as the Final Wars Gigan, because the Final Wars Gigan was pretty weak. But the Showa Gigan, he was a brute. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, using some Mega Gyros music. I like it. I like it. Is that a purple beam? That's like a purple beam. And hang on, Gigan's actually using his beam, right? He's never. Has he ever used? Oh, you made him bleed. That's awesome. He's like, oh. Oh, I love it. Toho, you just gotta keep on making these. I could totally live with this. Every year getting a short little Suitomation battle. I could totally live with this. It's just so cool. I love modern tokusatsu like this. It's just so cool. Oh, that is a nice shot. This is some good cinematography here. Ooh, we get some 84 roar going on. I like. Oh, sucker punched. Oh. Like, it's like, what? Ah. That was awesome. Yep, actually using his buzzsaw. The Final Wars guy game never used his buzzsaw, actually. Damn. Oh, he got a pretty harsh cut on his belly there. Uh-oh. Those are some pretty big blades on his belly. Love the sound effects. Shink, shink. It's pretty cool. Damn. That's a nasty cut. Blast him in the face. Oh. Oh. Oh, that is such a beautiful shot. That is so, oh. You're done now. Just point blank in the face. Oh, man. Oh. Yes. Yes. I did it. Yes. Toho. You guys still have it. Like, they still got the magic, man. Oh, that 84. Oh, thank you, 80. Oh, the 84 roar, man. Oh, yeah. That, I mean, that was spectacular. I don't, yeah, that was spectacular. I loved every second of that. That was awesome. So yeah, Godzilla design, you know, the Final Wars suit, but it looked modified. It definitely looked different. But that's okay. I mean, they probably had to modify it just to keep the suit up and running, like maintenance-wise. But the Gigan suit is just like flawless. I mean, for a modern interpretation of the Showa suit, like it's great. Like that was great looking. The music choices, obviously the music choices are just handpicked from different soundtracks. It's not like there's anything original here, but I think it's just cool to hear those tracks in a modern suitimation like short film. And then the effects are great. Sound effects were great. I mean, it's everything that I just want. Like, it's everything that I wanted in these short films. Like, from what the Hedorah one was last year to this one, I can't wait to see what Toho does next. Like, I'm curious, like, if they're doing Hedorah for his 50th and now Gigan for his 50th anniversary, I wonder if they're going to do Megalon for next year, because that would technically be, if I'm thinking, right, 1973, so it'd be the 2023, so it shouldn't be the 50th anniversary of Megalon. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see what Toho has planned next. And yes, I did know, or I heard about the new Godzilla film from Toho coming out next year as well. So 2023 is going to be a big year for Godzilla, that's for sure. If we're gonna get, you know, a brand new Godzilla film plus more of these shorts, like I'm all in for it. So I can totally live with Toho doing Suitimation stuff like this once a year, where it's like maybe about 10 minutes of a battle, and then if they do more feature films where it's CGI like Shin Godzilla, I'm totally okay with that. I just love seeing Suitimation stuff like that. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like a kid again, and I love it. So yeah, guys, that was my reaction to those two shorts for Godzilla's B-Day today. And it's awesome. Good job, Toho. You guys still got it. Well, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. More Godzilla Month content to come, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.
Hey guys, welcome to another Godzilla Month video. In today's video, I am going to be showing you my collection. Yes, this is going to be a collection update. Hey G-Fans, GojiFan93 here, and today we're going to be doing a collection update. So, let me turn the camera around and let's take a look. So, obviously, since the last time I did a collection video update, my collection has downsized tremendously.
There's also one more. I don't know where to find them though, so give me a link if you guys know where to find them. Alright, so we have more of my Bandai creation guys. Anger's from Final Wars, King Ghidorah from GMK, Smog Monster.
I have downscaled a lot of things over the years because really my goal with collecting now is just to buy the stuff that truly matters to me, that I have a major connection with, and really, to be honest, the collection starts from this shelf up. The stuff that's down there is more personal stuff, and then really down there it's more like old video game consoles and really nothing else. So really we're just going to be looking at, pretty much this here. So starting from the top, we're going to go not Godzilla related, but this, just real quick, this is a Halo 3 Legendary Edition statue of Master Chief's helmet. The infamous helmet that people tried to put on their head, but they couldn't. So, there's that. But the first item that I have here, this is actually a promotional Godzilla 1998 Taco Bell cup, and it actually still has the prize stickers that are still sealed. And the cool thing, this was actually gifted to me from a friend of mine at G-Fest a couple years ago, Hydrazilla98. Shout out to you, man. There's a couple things in this collection that are actually from you, so that was a really cool gift. I really like this. Just an old cool piece of memorabilia from 1998. Then of course I have the Rainbow Mothra. This is Bandai Creation, officially from 2002. If I can show, yeah, see right there is the branding. This guy is really important to me because this was the very first Bandai Creation figure I owned, and really can't, separate myself from this. This guy, I said in my story about how I got him, how my parents, or how I asked my parents for him at a KB Toys store, and they said that we couldn't get him, but I did a bunch of chores, and then like a couple weeks later we went to the store, he wasn't there, so my parents had to go through some hoops to find him. But this was the Treadmasters Godzilla large scale, and I'm pretty sure he was one of the figures that had like the armor pieces on him as well, and he did have his noise for a bit, but I guess his noise, like his sound box, is completely dead now. So, but this guy's really important to me. Actually, you can also see on the side here, he does have some glue on his head because a long time ago he did break, so I had to glue his head back on. So going down the shelf, here we have a little bit more some goodies here. These are a couple more figure stuff. So, of course, these guys, you all know them, you all love them. These are the X Plus figures. This is, let's see, so I'm going to start with this guy here, actually. So this is the 1984 30 centimeter X Plus Godzilla. This is the original Japanese release. Got this guy off of eBay a long ass time ago. I think this guy was like $500 when I bought him. It was ridiculous. This is when I first was starting to learn about X Plus. But really cool. I can't ever get rid of this guy because there's just too much sentimental value with this. But then, of course, years later, I end up getting the Godzilla Yuji Sakai 1984 favor sculpted line, whatever. It's a huge, a huge title for this figure.
Here's most of my this is actually all my Godzilla figures that I could fit on my top shelf. I have a lot. As you can see, this is pretty much collecting since 5 years old, I bet. So yeah.
But it's a sculpt made by Yuji Sakai, and I got this guy in 2019. I think it was released in 2019, but also if you guys look back, there was a video I posted where it was like I did an unboxing video of this guy when I didn't know I was doing unboxing because my fiance recorded me. So, yeah, but this guy is just amazing, and the way I look at it, I look at these two, it's just really cool because it's like this was my first X Plus figure that I ever got, and this is the last X Plus figure I got. Because I really don't plan on getting any more X Plus stuff, it's just too expensive, and there's nothing really that has piqued my interest, but these two are just really cool. Then we're going to move over here. This guy here, I don't know if the lighting is too great, but this is like a metal piece made actually from Everett, a good friend of mine, Godzilla Fan Freaks. I actually got this metal piece from his workshop that he worked at a long time ago, but it was during the Godzilla Festival that he did in Arizona. This was in 2017, and this was actually a first come, first serve stock. He had like a few of these, and if you came in, you were one of the first, you got these for free. So I was able to grab these. It was really cool. That was such a fun memory. Godzilla Fan Freak, shout out to you, man. Hopefully we can get another Godzilla Festival going soon. Back here, this is the infamous puppet that I've used in many, many videos. I love this guy so much. This guy was made by Chris Elchison back in the day. I bought him, this was a G-Fest 2014. I bought him at his Masking Tape Monsters table in the Artist Alley. So really cool guy. I love this thing. It's amazing. I don't know if it is starting to deteriorate. I know it's getting a little dusty and all that, but it's freaking cool. I think also the sculpt for this was Godzilla 2003, I'm pretty sure. So moving down, we have another infamous thing. This is the Gabra's Bad Day figure. Okay, that's not the official title. This is actually the YMSF, I think is what the title is. Gabra figure. This is just a 6-inch guy. Really close to like what a Bandai figure would look like, but let's see if I can look at his title here. Yeah, here we go. This is YMSF. Yeah, so that's that guy. I think I got him at G-Fest one year, and then I used him in the old Gabra's Bad Day videos. So that's why I had to keep a hold of this guy, because I can't get rid of this guy. It's a Gabra's Bad Day guy. So, little here though, this little guy, this is actually a Kudajira figure. This was made a prototype of our Kudajira little minifigures that we sold at G-Fest in 2019 when Kenshin Studios was there doing artist table stuff. So that was really cool. I was able to keep, this is like the very first prototype. We sold more than 10 of these, I think, at G-Fest too. We had to do like some online orders as well. One day we plan on doing more with this. We do plan on maybe making some more figures.
My whole setup of where my stuff is. So, alright, so let's start on the second shelf. So here are my video games. It's definitely increased from the last time I did it, so there we go. Got SUPERCUT.
This right here, this is going to be another shout out. This was another gift to me. Shout out goes to Matt from Monstrosities. This little guy was given to me for free by, I think it was his, I don't remember what the table was, but this was, I think, a Yuji Sakai little, like one of those high grade figures. It came like with a little city base thing, but this is just the guy. He also has his, I don't know if the camera's gonna focus, but his hand is a little messed up. But I thought it was cool. It's another 1984 figure, so of course I had to have it. This was really cool. Thanks again, Matt. Big shout out to you. Really cool stuff. This here, though, this, if you guys remember, was actually a custom-made figure made out of clay for me back in the day as GojiFan. This is me as GojiFan destroying Tokyo. It's just amazing. Unfortunately, I do not remember the name of the guy who made this for me back in the day, but I will try to get the information and put it on the screen here for credit. But shout out to you. This was such an amazing gift to have someone make a literal diorama of me destroying Tokyo. That's so cool. Back here, this is just a little postcard that I got. This actually is a thing that was signed because I was a backer for the Kaiju Crescendo concert, so that's really cool. I'm gonna put you over here for now. Then back here, this is the Criterion Showa book, of the DVDs, but I'll show you guys actually further down here the actual movies. But this was the big book that I do not like. I really dislike how it was a big, gigantic book. It doesn't fit anywhere well. Then this is an older book, if I can take this guy out without destroying my whole setup here. This was a book called Monster Madness, an old book that had just a bunch of old, like, school monsters. You got Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, King Kong, things like that. Just a really cool book from, like, I believe that was from, like, the 90s or something. Really, really cool stuff there. And then just a little shout out to myself. This is The Emergence of Monsters, book 1, book that I printed for myself. Oop, things are starting to fall apart here. Okay, so I put back my setup. It was about to fall apart. Okay, going down to the next shelf here, we actually have my media. I call this my media shelf. So we have DVDs, games, and music. So I'm going to start from this side actually, because this side actually has non-Godzilla related things here. This is actually, if I can, I don't know if I want to tilt that, but this is my Lordi collection, a Finnish rock band, heavy metal band that I love so much. I pretty much have all of their albums, plus some like live albums and things like that. I've talked about these guys a lot. I highly recommend them every time I do. Lordi, Finnish rock band, go check them out. They're amazing. But then we're going to move over back to Godzilla stuff. This is one of my most prized possessions in my collection. The 6 boxes of the 50th anniversary Godzilla soundtrack perfect collection. This here is like, every time, the fact that I own these is just amazing. This has every single soundtrack from every single Godzilla movie from 1954 to 2004, with bonus stuff, with unheard stuff. There's like symphonic things that Akira Ifukube recorded that are in here. There's like a Zone Fighter soundtrack thing. It is like literally everything. This title does not lie. It is the perfect soundtrack collection of Godzilla from the classic eras. So yeah, and you can find these on eBay, but they are really pricey. If I remember correctly, each box, what side I bought them from, was at least over $100. So this is a pretty valuable item in my collection. Then we're going to have a few other CDs here. I actually have, this was a custom-made CD from Vinny DeGregory, the composer and Godzilla Kenshin, the Kenshin Studios team. He made a custom CD for Godzilla Wrath of the Hybrid. That was a limited thing that the teammates got, and then also we actually gave away some for some fans at G-Fest. Then I have the 3 live concerts that were at G-Fest. This was the Kaiju Crescendo, Symphonic Fury, Ifukube 100. These are really cool, only given to backers, although I think they have started to actually sell these to like non-backers, but I can't remember. Then I have the Shin Godzilla soundtrack, and then of course I have the MonsterVerse Godzilla movie soundtracks. I have 2014 King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Really cool stuff. And yeah. This right here is actually a VHS of Godzilla 1984. This is actually another shout out to Matt from Monstrosities. This was gifted to me as well from him. He's just such a nice guy that he gave me this is like the official Japanese VHS Toho video of Godzilla 1984. It's amazing. Of course I can never play this because I don't own a VHS player anymore, let alone from Japan, but it's still cool to have. This is another random thing. I just had to put it here. This is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. This was gifted to me by my fiance for one of my birthdays. This is awesome. The Spider-Man Sam Raimi movies are like one of my favorites. So of course I just had to put it here. I love it. Then we have to go on to some video games. The only video games that Godzilla that I own are the Godzilla Pipeworks trilogies, because any other Godzilla game I have enjoyed. Like I remember I also had like the PS4 game, and I had like the Super Nintendo game and all that. But really when it comes down to it, these games are really what I care about. the Godzilla Pipeworks trilogy is just so ingrained into my childhood that these are the only games that I could ever want. Unless they make a remake, or there's another game that comes out that's just as good like this. Yeah, but I have each version, basically. I have like literally each version of the games. Now, these are the only American ones. I don't have the Japanese versions or the European versions. I was debating if I wanted to get those, but I don't know. But I have GameCube and Xbox versions of Destroy All Monsters. Save the Earth, I have the Xbox and PS2 version, and Unleashed PS2 version, Wii, and Nintendo DS. And actually, inside of this case, of the Nintendo DS one, I have Godzilla Domination in there. It's held in that little Game Boy Advance section in the DS cases, so he's all locked away there. Then, of course, every Godzilla collection has to have the movies. Now, like I said back here with the Criterion book thing, I actually went out and got on eBay and bought custom DVD cases, or Blu-ray cases for these. They actually made them in 2 parts, so 4 discs per case, and it is so much better to house these discs in here because 1, they're safe, and 2, they fit so much better in my collection. Then, of course, we move to the Heisei stuff. This is the Kraken release of 1984, Godzilla vs. Biollante. I can't remember what company made this one. Then, of course, all the Sony Blu-ray ones, the double features, Godzilla 2000 with both Japanese and American audio. Then, of course, we have the Millennium stuff. Then I got Shin Godzilla. And then I am becoming a fan of steelbook cases. So any modern Godzilla movie that has a steelbook case, I want to get the steelbook version. So I have the 1998 steelbook and the MonsterVerse films. Godzilla 2014, King of the Monsters, Kong, steelbook. The Kong one was such a annoyance to get because as soon as Kong came out, for some reason, this was sold out everywhere from Best Buy because this is a Best Buy exclusive, and I had to get it on eBay for a little bit more price than I wanted to. But I have it, so it's cool. Also, I don't keep the sleeves. Literally, this is all I have. It's just the case with the, if I can open it with one hand, with the discs inside. By the way, this, who thought this was a good idea? Why make me pull out, if I want to pull out this disc, I have to pull this disc out, whatever, that's a rant for another day. So, that is basically my Godzilla collection.
Collection right here. Got my main shelf with all the X Plus figures, and then I have some other stuff here on my bed because I don't have a lot of room in this place. So, yes, let's start with this right here. I also do have a few other things that I want to show you guys real quick. This is just more personal stuff. I'm not going to go into too big of a detail. I do want to give a shout out though to my dog Isabella. If you guys remember my old video, she would always interrupt them. It'd be really cute. This is just a little tribute to her because she did pass away a few years ago. So this stuff is really personal and sentimental to me. Then further down here, actually, I have an N64 with Yoshi's Story. That was the very first game I ever played. An original Xbox, because that's my favorite system. And then a VR headset that I never use. Okay, now we're going to walk in the closet real quick because this is some other stuff that I have that I can't fit on my collection, but are on the shelves. These are actually my old X Plus artwork though. So I don't have all my X Plus figures that I used to have, but I have kept the artwork pieces that were on the boxes because I love these pieces. And one day I would love to put these on a wall as like a collage or something like that. So I have those here. This is a poster. You guys cannot tell through this, but this is actually a Brandon Tenold poster that I got a long time ago when I helped him kind of get his channel back up when his channel got deleted back in 2013 or 2014. So that's actually like a signed poster. It's really cool. And then I have a few posters or a few prints of framed artwork here from the Artist Alley at G-Fest. Now, I wish I could show you. I don't think I can because this is buried under all this. But I don't know if you can tell, but that's Gigan's foot. This piece right here that I'm pointing at is actually from Godzilla Unleashed. It's a character render artwork that was actually used at the studios, at the Pipeworks Studios to make Godzilla Unleashed. So that's just a little piece in the closet of stuff that I can't fit. Alright guys, so that'll do it. That is my collection update. It has been many years since I have done a collection update. It was pretty cool doing that and showing you guys what my collection looks like. It's insane when I think back of what my collection looked like
10 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever. It is insane how crazy it got and then how downscaled it got as well. So, but I'm very happy with what I have here. I'm not saying that my collection days are over, but there just isn't a lot really that I want to collect at the moment. Also just because life happens and money gets tight and I don't have as much leeway as I used to. So, but yeah, that is it for my collection. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that'll do it for this Godzilla Month video. I'll see you guys for more Godzilla Month content coming up soon. See you guys later.
Hey guys, welcome to another Godzilla Month video, and this has been a very exciting video for me that I've been planning for a super long time. I have Matt from Monstrosities here.
Yo.
And this has been a discussion that Matt and I have been wanting to discuss for quite a while now. It's been about 2 years in the making of just trying to, find the right time to do it, scheduling, all that kind of stuff. I actually wanted to get him in the past 2 Godzilla months, but scheduling just didn't work that way. But finally, Godzilla Month 2022, here we go, ready to have it. So, in today's video, this is going to be an open discussion, sort of a mix of positives, negatives, sort of stuff like that. But it's just going to be talking about collecting and sort of the dangers of it, sort of how, collecting is very fun for us in the hobby. It's something that is a big part of it, but it has a dark side to it. It can potentially have a dark side to it. And I felt that this isn't really talked about a lot in the fan base as much as I think it should be, and just to have that healthy discussion. But before we get into it, I want to make a massive disclaimer. This is not an attack on anyone who collects stuff. Obviously, I and Matt still collect things. This is nothing. We're not trying to make you guys feel bad for collecting. If you have your eye on something that's expensive or whatnot, we're not telling you, hey, don't do that. This is just trying to have a open and honest conversation about just some red flags that if some stuff is starting to notice, like pop up in your life, or just certain things to keep an eye out for before it can become a harmful thing, where less of a hobby, more of an addiction that can negatively impact your life. So, but once again, it is not supposed to be a attack on anybody. So just keep that in mind. So first part, we're going to talk about what I like to call the 5 W's of collecting. Obviously, it's not going to be all 5 of these W's because they're a little bit weird. Some of them don't match up right. But we're just going to introduce basically how we got into collecting. Obviously, what do we collect? How did we start collecting? When did we start collecting? Stuff like that. So, Matt, I'll let you take it away. What was like the stuff that when did you start to collect stuff?
Well, you see, my collecting story is a little weird because, maybe 5 or 6 years ago was when I was, doing the figure stuff, doing toy stuff, And since then, I still have some figures and stuff, but since then, that has all changed to books and magazines and all this.
You can see it behind you, too.
Well, yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Boxes of magazines over there and stuff, and it's I would say probably 5 or 6 years ago, because I didn't have this stuff growing up and stuff, because I could finally afford to get it myself. That's what I wanted. I wanted all these things or whatever. But once that kind of came into my life, it was kind of like, okay, I'm good. Book stuff, especially these days, it's more so for the use of video creation, as opposed to just being like, I love all these pictures. There's a lot of good information in there that can be used for content and stuff, but then on that end, it really, I gotta limit myself to how much of this you pick up.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's anything. I don't think my collecting story is anything special. I think it's pretty much the same as everybody else. You like your tokusatsu, you like your kaiju, and you just want to get into it.
What was the first line of figures that you got? Was it Bandai stuff or?
Dude, I think my first Bandai ever was a Hyper Gauss from Gamera 3 in 99. Okay. Because these things were super expensive, and I didn't have a lot of money growing up and stuff like that. I think the Trendmasters line was probably my first one. That's when I actually got Godzilla toys that wasn't the Imperial Godzilla or something of that nature. but then, from probably about 2000 to 2015, 14, somewhere in that range, it was all Bondi stuff, Dabbled very lightly in X Plus, but basically just anything that caught my attention, YMSF, primarily, Sofubi and vinyl stuff, mostly Bond.
Okay, yeah. And like, what's the kind of sites that you would like recommend to people to buy stuff on? Like, is other than eBay, because eBay can sometimes be a horrible place to buy if you're wanting to save money. So, like, what's other places that you think are worth going to?
Well, I mean, it really depends because, even stuff from 7 years ago are totally different now, because like I said, these days I'm primarily looking for like the books and stuff like that. But you really just want to kind of keep your eyes and ears open everywhere, because it is eBay on occasion, eBay, you'll have people trying to dump stuff and sometimes at extraordinarily discounted prices. For instance, and I'm just going to show this right here. This is not a bragging point, but this is just kind of to show.
It's so going to be a bragging point.
This thing right here, this is an original 62
wow.
King Kong vs. Godzilla theater pamphlet, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see this on here. There's a Mandarake price tag of about 40,000 yen. Now, on a good day, it's about $400.
Wow.
Not now, but I got this on eBay for $15 shipped.
Ah, nice.
And so, but that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It's like there are things like that to find, but Mandarake. Mercari, Japan, which is basically like a Craigslist, in Japan. Of course, you got to go through middleman services for this. Yahoo Japan auctions. Domestically speaking, here, Facebook groups. People are always trying to unload stuff in various groups, and sometimes you can get some pretty good deals that way. Sometimes, Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes things like. Apps like Craigslist, things of that nature. I mean, you can find all sorts of stuff. I found like a group of Ultraman Blu-rays for like $30. They retail for about 20 a piece, and you just gotta be on the lookout for stuff. If you're looking for something specifically, that's when it becomes a little bit more challenging. You know what I mean? But I'm also one of these people who I will, unless I have something very specific. If I see a deal, chances are I'm gonna try to swoop it up because they happen often. It's not completely uncommon, but you have to have an eye out for it.
And that's something like when you were talking about how you got that deal on that book there, or magazine, was it?
Theater pamphlet. Yeah.
Theater pamphlet. Like that kind of thing that you just did is something that we'll talk about later on how to have a positive aspect on collecting. It's doing stuff like that. Sort of the thrill for the hunt too. But I mean, so for me, it's I started out buying Trendmasters Godzilla figures. That was like the first toy line that I did back in the 90s. And if you guys watched my last video, it would have been the my collection update. You guys saw I had a little bit of a story of it was like the large scale Trendmasters Godzilla. I think he had like the armor pieces on him too. He was like one of those armored, like they had like guns attached to them. Trendmasters was crazy. The 90s was crazy. But, that's how I started out. And it just, like anyone, it just grew from there. Found out about Bandai Creation. And then the internet came around and then learned all just huge world opened up to me about, there's Bandai Japan stuff. There's X Plus. There's, YMSF that you were talking about. There's the what's the colorized ones? They're like customized. They're a crazy brand.
Marmot.
That's the ones. Yeah, they're like all the different color schemes for the characters and like 1,000 different burning Godzillas. So yeah.
I do gotta say, I finally saw just the other day the best variation of the burning Godzilla. Did you see that thing?
No, what is it?
1200 Godzilla.
No.
I forget who's putting it out. It's an American toy line, but it's basically Godzilla at meltdown. So like his skull.
Oh, the one with Destroya. It's matched with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did see that on Facebook. Yeah.
Variation, because that burning Godzilla thing is just a cliche at this point.
I know, right? It's unique for burning Godzilla. Finally, like a little bit of his skin melting off. We haven't really seen that before. That's a cool one. Yeah.
Sorry for going off on that tangent, but
no, that's good. Yeah. So Yeah, and then like obviously X Plus was like a big component of my collecting back in the day. You all know this. This is not so surprise, but so you know that's how that collecting was. I primarily collect Godzilla stuff. I don't really go out of my way to do any other kind of series or anything. I remember back in the day I did. I think with Ultraman I did buy the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray because that's when I was trying to get into it back then. And then I think. I would feel it's like some video games. I think I would buy like the King Kong video game. I actually loved the Ultraman video games. There were these series called Ultraman Fighting Evolution. Really awesome fighting games. Highly recommend those. But yeah, so that's you know kind of how that is. And Matt, you still collect, right? Like you still have a sort of in the hobby of still collecting.
No, it's not like I have shipments coming in from Japan every week. No, Chris.
I mean, it's
no.
part. Yeah, I mean, I know that the the merchandise is also part of your content, but at the same time, it's like
it definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Like I said, I primarily do the book stuff and the magazine stuff now, and I probably purchase stuff way more frequently than I should. I do obviously use some of the figure stuff too. It depends on what it's from. You know, I've been collecting things more so that means something to me.
Yeah.
So it's way more focused than it is just a generalized, oh, we're gonna have figures of every monster, which is kind of what my collection was 7 years ago.
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Yep. And so yes, very much still into it. More so these days, just in case if I see something that I'm like, oh, that's really neat, I've never seen that before, or this is going to help me with a video or something of that nature.
Right. Okay. Yeah, me, it's I've slowed down tremendously. Again, with my last video, you guys have seen how it's, you know, how my collection started. I mean, I have like video recordings of how it all was because I did, you know, collecting update videos back in the day, and so like it's crazy to see how it was starting and then how it grew and then how it like shrunk tremendously again. The last figure I bought was the Yuji Sakai Godzilla D4 X Plus figure, and you know that one was fun because I didn't even know that my fiance was recording me when I was unboxing it, and so then obviously that's what you guys see on my channel is that video there. So that was a fun time. But so that's like the last big figure that I bought. Everything else it's past. You know, I was really into buying the Defo Real X Plus figures when those were like starting to come out, but X Plus has like it they started out with that line because it was perfect for me. I was like, oh, you know what, they're cheap, they're small, they don't take up that much shelf space, and they only come out like every couple months. Like there wasn't like a bunch every single month, so it was, you could like save up money and actually have a way to do that. But then X Plus, I think they saw how much money they were making off it, and they just started just putting those out like crazy, like 2-3 figures a month. And obviously, I think just because of everything with inflation or whatnot, and also COVID was a big impact on X Plus, I think too. Their prices have just skyrocketed. So like those little guys aren't $50 anymore. They're like sometimes $70, $80. I think the Biolante that came out, yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger because it is Biolante, but that thing was like almost $120, and that doesn't even count shipping. So what you're looking at is a smaller Defo Real figure that's almost the same price as a normal 30 centimeter figure. So it just doesn't add up with like, oh, that's not really worth it anymore, you know? And the fact that, like I said, there's like multiple coming out a month now. It's like they're on top of the new movies too. Like, I mean, at Singular Point, they've had a bunch of Defo Reels on Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla King of the Monsters, like all that stuff they've been going crazy on. So I think even the anime Godzilla they did, or the anime trilogy, they did one of him too. So I had to stop buying that because it sucked. I really enjoyed having those figures. They were really cool, but it's just like, now it's becoming, that's when I was feeling that red flag. I was getting that like, you know what, it's becoming less fun, and now it's becoming more of a bill, and I'm not necessarily liking this anymore. So now I'm just kind of sitting with stuff that, similar to you, Matt, is that it's something that has to really mean something to me. Like it has to have either a sentimental value or either a gift from a friend. I have a bunch of stuff from you too. Like you, I remember you gave me the 1984 VHS from Japan, the Toho video one.
That's correct.
Like that's
Yeah.
really cool. I also I have the little 84 Yuji Sakai diorama guy that I got from that one G Fest. So like that, like that stuff is cool. But so that's kind of like the collecting stories, I guess, for us. Anything else on that, Matt?
No, I mean, no, not off the top of my head.
Okay. So now we'll get into the meat of this whole discussion. So we're gonna get a little, less fun. We're gonna really get into it. So, the conversations that no one wants to have.
Everyone is going to just like leave you after this.
I know, they're just gonna be like,
oh,
my God.
I'm the biggest negative force of the Godzilla community. I might as well be the Destoroyah of the Godzilla community. You know
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. So again, I really need to preface this before we get into this section. This again, it is not supposed to be looking down on anyone who collects stuff. It's supposed to be just more of a honest conversation of like, hey, is your collection starting to take over your life? Is your collection starting to kind of ruin your bank? Is your collection starting to become less of this fun hobby that you started and now is becoming more of this like, oh, how am I going to pay for this? Like, I'm looking at my bills and I don't know how I'm going to be able to add that up. So this is the hard conversation that I've wanted to have for a long time. And of course, a lot of people haven't had the story that I've had with collecting, but I know that there's got to be people out there that have had similar situations when it comes to being addicted to that kind of stuff and having it impact their life negatively. Again, though, do not take any of this personally, and we are not attacking anyone. We just want to have an open conversation. So
Speak for yourself, Chris. I'm totally gonna be on the attack.
I know. That's why I brought you on here. But also this is a discussion. But if there is anything that I say that maybe you disagree with, totally bring it up. Like we can also have somewhat of a thing. Yeah. So again, first off, going into it too, I'm also not equal like saying that collecting is as bad as like other addictions out there that are worse in terms of stuff. It's same principles in how it can impact your life, but it's not like you're never gonna die by collecting. It's not like it's not alcoholism. It's not like you drink too much you die. There's a different degree, of course, with this kind of stuff. But I still take serious with it because it did impact my life in a big way, and so I feel like now's a good time to talk about it. So first part of this, obviously, I think is the number one thing is money. Of course, that is like the biggest thing with collecting, and I think nowadays it's very hard because of scalpers. I mean, I know scalpers have always been kind of an issue in the fandom with stuff like that, but lately it just seems like, and I don't know if it's because of COVID happening with stocks being low and high demand and all that, but like it just seems like anything that's on a pre-order now gets just sucked up so quick. They buy so much stock, and people who genuinely want to just buy, I just wanted one copy. That's all I wanted, and they sell out like crazy, and then they put it on eBay for thousands of dollars. One of the biggest things was I remember it's obviously it's not related to Godzilla collecting, but in terms of like video games, when the PS5 came out and the Xbox Series X or whatever, it was ridiculous. It was like those, you could not find them anywhere, and then all of a sudden eBay had them up for like thousands of dollars, and it's like, that's just like, geez. So that's an aspect that makes it a little bit annoying, because there are some people that they want that stuff so bad that they're just willing to pay any price, and that's why we still have scalpers, because there are people out there, they don't care, they're just going to be like, I'm going to get it. And that's something that I feel like if that is something where you look at an item on eBay and you're like, I really want that certain X Plus or that Bandai, take a little bit of extra time to do some homework, maybe go around some Facebook groups, look and see like if there's a deal going around. There's someone out there who's probably wanting to get rid of it, who might even be willing to trade it for something else. So that's another big thing is it's not necessarily the first thing you see is not the first thing you need to buy. Like, take some time maybe, like instead of shelling out all that money, I don't know, Matt, if there's something that you in terms of money, like stuff like that you have an idea on or an opinion.
Just like save money,
Yeah, save money, stuff like that. Yeah,
I mean, it's always just about looking around for the best deal. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if you're in Akihabara or if you're at G-Fest or if you're online. I mean, chances are, unless if it's like that really extraordinarily rare thing, someone else is going to have it, and someone else is going to have it cheaper. You know,
Right.
at least by a little bit. You know, just look around. You know, but you know what you're talking about is kind of like basically educating yourself about you know something, and even even just like if you're at a store or something, just quickly looking up on eBay or something, or even just regular retail prices for something, just to see where it compares with that. I mean, you're doing yourself a service, even if it saves you like $20. I mean, that's $20. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
You know, a couple gallons of gas, right?
Yeah, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I said a couple. It's yeah, you know, it's. I think you know, just at the offset, because you were talking about things like alcoholism and how it's not really the same. I mean, collecting at the end of the day is a lot like everything else. It has got to be done, you know, just in a very
Responsibly.
controlled way, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, responsibly. Um, and it can, you know, ruin your life, or it can do whatever, just like alcoholism or anything else for that matter. You know what I mean? And you know, the money aspect is a huge thing, because as you pointed out, the prices for these things just keep on going up and up and up and up and up. And I think, you know, something to really, you know, you really want to save some money. I mean, this is really the question that I think a lot of us, you know, I pose this to my friends, and I should ask myself this more often too, is, do you really need it? Do I really need this thing?
Yeah.
Will my life actually get better because of this? Or am I just going to have a dopamine rush when I get the box, open it up, see it, put it on the shelf, and then that's done for the afternoon, and, you know, by tomorrow I'm going to be looking for something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's yeah, it's a very slippery slope, but especially on the money aspect, man. I mean, the prices on a lot of this stuff is just ridiculous, you know. But I would honestly, you know, ask yourself those kinds of questions. You know, do I need this in my life? Is it that important? Can I wait? You know, because there's realistic things where you were talking about. You got scalpers, man. Pre-orders go up, and then within 5 seconds they're done because somebody has an army of bots or something behind that. So that's a very real problem. But you really just got to decide what is best for you, and I think that's what it comes down to. What is the best decision, the best adult decision you can make, you know, regarding this? If you can afford it, great. If you can't, skip out. You know, there will be something else.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially in this fandom, especially in Godzilla, there will always be something else coming out around the corner.
There's always something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, money's a big thing. There's, it's especially nowadays. Again, it's harder and harder to. I couldn't imagine collecting nowadays as I did back in the day. Like, there's just no way. Like, I don't know how I even was able to do it back then. So, that one's a big deal. Sort of relating, and all these points relate to each other, but the next topic is sort of in relationships, sort of in your social life and stuff like that. So, Matt, I don't know about you. I don't know how, you know, what, like, if there was a story that you went through or something like that. But obviously for me, you know, this is where personal stuff gets in. This is where it becomes more real, is that, you know, when I started way back in 2013, I was doing GojiFan, you guys know this. It's a story that I've talked about a lot of the time, and you know, I've wrote about it and everything, but again, for this video, it's appropriate that, you know, at the time I was engaged and everything was going great, and then I was starting this, and all of a sudden, you know, the collecting rush just hit me like crazy. It was like I felt like I needed to collect everything. And it was that aspect of like, oh, it's not just stuff that I really want. It's like, no, I'm going to buy this character even though I have really no opinion on that character or care for that character, but I just got to have him. That started to like snowball into a pretty obsessive, you know, behavior of it. To the point where that was like all on my mind. It was like, that was the only thing. I was like, oh, what's the next thing I can buy? Like, what's this and that? And obviously it was to the point where, you know, my fiance would look at me and she'd be like, hey, like, are you know, this is a little you're buying a lot. Like, this is a little crazy. Like, hey, like, instead of going on dates, it was like, oh no, like, I want to get this figure or something like that. It's just bad stuff. And it can have a huge impact and then essentially ruin that relationship. Now, at the time, there was also other aspects going on with that whole thing. It wasn't just collecting, but I know for a fact the collection had a big point in it. I know it had a big reason for that as well. And then it can, lead into mental problems with the addiction. It can start to just spiral into this thing where you feel like, the only way that you can be happy is if you just buy this stuff. Like, if you see this stuff on your shelf and you're like, yeah, that's, you get that small rush of dopamine. You're like, yeah, this is great. But it's less of like having that shelf there and looking at it and being happy. It's more like, oh, that's just filling a hole that's been left, by something else. And so it's, once again, without going too far into it, it's something that I am very passionate about, very strong about, that if you're collecting stuff and if like a family member or if a friend is coming to you and saying, hey, you've been buying a lot of this stuff lately, like, I think you might need to pull back a little bit, or hey, we need rent this month. It's like, these people are coming up to you because they care about you, because they love you, and they're like, they want what's best for you, and they're like, they know that this stuff is a hobby and it makes you happy, but at the end of the day, it's like, if it does start to take over your life, they're gonna call you out on it. They're gonna be like, hey, maybe you should, hey, save that paycheck or something, or you don't really need it right now, do you? That's one of those red flags that I would say that starts to pop up. But so that I'm a big proponent of that. But Matt, what did you like? Is there? I don't know, if anything for you, or if there's like a person about or whatever, if you're comfortable in talking about it, something like that.
I haven't really experienced something like what you went through. You know what I mean? And I think that what you went through is a very there's probably a lot of other stuff stemming from this. And the other thing I don't want to sound like some kind of half-assed psychologist.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I know you don't either. I'm not saying that, but I guess I'm throwing that out there for the audience because of the fact that it's like I think that surface level, some of these things, when it gets to a point, let's say, and I'm not trying to diagnose you or anything like that, but let's just say, like, surface level, that stuff is happening, and there could be other things happening because of that.
Exactly.
It's like you're trying to. How many times have you heard, the phrasing of like, oh, you're just trying to fill your life with something because you got nothing else, and that happens. I mean, I've experienced that. I'm sure plenty of other people have too. You work 50, 60, 70 hours a week and you don't have anything, and it's nice to come home and get something in the mail, you get to enjoy it for a little bit, and it's just kind of like this cycle, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't think that's a unique story. I think it's just everybody has to do that. Yeah, it's an interesting subject. It's not something that I feel very comfortable with in terms of like speaking as any kind of authority on. You know what I mean? The closest I got, and it's just more funny than anything. I had a girl I was dating, and she actually stopped dating me because she's like, I had a dream that our life was just cluttered with Godzilla stuff, and clutter makes me anxious, and blah 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 blah. But you want to talk about surface level crap, getting deeper? Like I fully believe that's what the case was, and she was cool, but we weren't right for each other.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And yeah, man, it's again, I'm gonna keep on coming back to this. It's that thing of like, it's that fine line. You know what I mean? Just like with anything else, you could be drinking yourself to death, or you could be collecting yourself to debt.
To debt, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like it's you just gotta do things in responsible increments, basically.
Yeah, and again, it was from my experience with it. It definitely is a matter of filling a hole that something is missing, and you're just trying to. You're like, well, this is, at least I have this. Like, it just, and you keep on going, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and it. And I always looked at it as something where back then I was. That's when I started. Like, I snapped out of it and I started to sell things, and I mean, it was getting so bad to the point that I remember 2014 was coming out and they were, doing all this merchandise for it. And they had like at Party City, they had these, party supplies, like party, plates, utensils, things like that. The Carl's Jr. cups that were just branded with Godzilla 2014. I'm trying to remember the other stuff that I got, but it was like, I think also like a, no joke, like a theater bag that just had Godzilla 2014, or like a popcorn bag or something. And I was like, oh, I gotta have that. Like, I literally had a section in my collection that was like the party plates and party utensils and things like that, napkins. Like, that's how bad it got. And it was like, okay, you're not even using, the plates or the napkins or anything like that. It's like, okay, that's a little bad right there. When you start to compare, like when you look at this really, expensive figure and you're like, oh, this figure's awesome, but then you equal the same value to a napkin just because it has Godzilla's name on it, I would say that's when you might have a problem there. Like, just my honest opinion, I do think that might be an issue there, where you start equaling everything out as the same high value when really it's not, But the biggest thing too with that is when you start to feel that your collecting is becoming more of a bill than becoming an excitement. And it was something that we talked about earlier, but it's the idea that when you start out collecting something, you get this, it's a very fun experience. You're like, I remember when I first bought X Plus, you can literally see the old video that I had, and I'm like, visibly excited beyond belief of getting this thing in the mail. I've heard all about it, and opening the box, and like when you see an X Plus figure for the first time, this is just a little thing too. It's such like a crazy experience. You're like, wow, these things are, because the pictures don't really do it justice. It's like you look at those things, you're like, wow, this is awesome, and the excitement you get. I'm gonna tell you that if you keep on doing that in a very fast repetition or progression, you're gonna get those diminishing returns every time you get a new figure.
Just like with everything else too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's gonna be something where like you're never gonna get that same first like high off of that. And it's not X Plus, it could be Bandai, Marmot, whatever. But like when you start collecting, if you don't do it in that responsible way, that's where you're gonna start to feel like you're not gonna get that amount of excitement that you want every time. And that's when it's going to start to feel like a more of a monthly bill. Again, when it comes to X Plus, when I started collecting them, it was not every month that a new figure was, coming out that I would want, but it was when Diamond issue came, or the Diamond reissues of X Plus started to come out. And those, their waves were different depending on the month, because at this point I wasn't really buying Japanese X Plus ones because they were way expensive. I also don't remember if I didn't know the ways to get them, but with Diamond, they were reissuing a bunch of these really rare figures, and I was like, cool, this is my way to get them, because you could get them at a great price. It was like $160 every time a new figure would come out. But they were, it was innocent at first. They were like, oh, just 2 figures for this month. And then 2-3 months later, they would come out with another release, another wave of those figures. And it felt like, okay, that felt great. Same thing at the Defo Reels. It's like, that's a good progression. Like, okay, every couple months, I get like 1 figure. That's exciting. You have something to look forward to. It's great, and it's cheap, it's affordable, like, awesome. But then all of a sudden, X Plus is like launching all these lines and all these figures at once every month, and it's just, and then you start to get the feeling of like, oh wow, you look at the release calendar, and then you look at your bank and you're like, can I pull this off? Like, can I, when you start to get that dread or stress feeling, that is again a red flag sign. That's like, hey, this might not be a good idea. Like, you don't necessarily need that one, or however that needs to work out, but again, if you feel the need that you're needing to collect everything that whatever toy line's coming out with or whatever, and when it's feeling more of that bill, it's like, because to be honest, none of us need more bills on top of the bills we already have. So why have your hobby be an extra addition to that stress? It should not be something like that. I've even had to do it with video games. I've had to be very selective with the video game releases that are coming out. I can't be out there buying every single game that comes out a month because it's ridiculous. So especially now that games are $70 instead of 60 because of the new hardware that's come out. So I have to be very picky with what I get. But I feel like when you start to do that, when you start to buy things that really matter to you, and you kind of hand pick things, and it's not as every month or so, you do get more of that excitement because it's been a while. When I did get and again, you can tell from my first X Plus unboxing, I was super excited. And then from the last X Plus unboxing, at least I would say when I was doing the channel, so Shin Godzilla was the last X Plus at that point. You can tell in my face I was just doing it for the camera. It was like, oh, cool, yeah, X Plus, perfect. Put it on the shelf and just stare at it and be like, well, that's $160 right there. Cool, But then, many years later comes around, I get the Yuji Sakai 84 because it's been a while since I got an X Plus figure, and I was pretty hyped. I was like, you can see it in the video. It's really cool. Like, yeah. So that's what I would say in terms of a big stating point with that is if it's becoming more of this stress with the hobby, that's where you do need to, at least I would say, you do need to start to maybe take a inventory on yourself and be like, maybe I should a little change up how I do some things. Matt, what's your opinions on that becoming a build rather than a hobby?
Yeah, I also think that something else to keep in mind too is if you don't have the space to display it.
Oh God, yeah.
Chances are you probably shouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I say that, and look, I got a good friend who does a lot of collecting, and I love him to death. But his collection is so massive that there's a lot of his collection are still in the boxes of which they're in, and that has just become a mountain upon itself.
Yeah.
And me, of course, sometimes we can't display everything, but if majority of your stuff is in that state, it's just kind of like, oof, look, you do what makes you happy, I think the real power to this whole particular thing, the video that you're doing here today, is talking about your experiences and really trying to talk to people who may be in a similar thing, because you're right, this is not something I hear much about. You hear a lot of people talking about getting stuff, and they're always excited about getting stuff, but there's never been that conversation that I've seen, that discourse about, again, collecting responsibly, how to pull back, from that, and how to recognize these things. I was curious, and this is kind of like going off topic here.
No,
how much? And I got a calculator open. I just want to see something. How much do you think? And this is not to put you on the spot or to shame you or anything. This is I'm just curious about the number. Roughly, how much were you spending on X Plus stuff a year? Would you say? Like, how many releases were there? What was the general kind of thing?
If I can remember, I know it was at least. I guess on a good base point, $160 for one X Plus figure. I would say that's like a good base standard. Obviously, there's variations with that number. It could be more, it could be less, but I think 160 is the good 30 centimeter standard price. I don't know what it is today. It could have gone up. I haven't been looking at Hobby Search or seeing how their prices are. Yeah. Oh, it is still. So
no, I said we can stick with.
Oh, we can stick with 160. Okay. So yeah, if we say 160 for one figure, but depending on. Because then when I was really into X Plus, I was getting Japanese releases because of Hobby Search. So I would say, it had to be maybe $300 because I need to also remember shipping, because shipping was a little more expensive because it's overseas for that stuff. But yeah, I would say a decent amount would be towards that $300, $350. For a month.
Per fig?
No, not per figure.
Okay, per month you said.
Per month, yeah. I would say around that. I would say that's how much. And that's not counting other pieces of merchandise that were floating around that weren't X Plus that I was also doing. But I would say that's a good number.
Okay. Well, all I did was I just took the $350 that you said and just put that in 12 months. That gives us about $4,200, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That right there, and I understand that this is more of a perspective thing, but this is something I'm always going to throw at people and stuff like this, and I speak to this in terms all the time now. It's the only thing I go by, and it relates to something a little bit more important, I think. 4,200 bucks would get you probably about 3 weeks in Japan. I'm talking flight, I'm talking hotel, I'm talking your spending money and your food money and stuff like that. And that's just for one person. If you went for a week, you could probably take your fiance with you or something like that.
Yeah.
The reason why I look at it in terms of that, and you can apply this to just about anything else, is because something like that is a life experience of which is you are going to think about for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? It's not going to be something that lasts for the 5 minutes of which you open it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there are places like Japan, obviously, just very important to the people who like this stuff because that's where it originates from. There's a lot of cool things over there. My point being is like trying to trade in collecting stuff for more life experiences. Even something like going to G-Fest or something.
Yeah.
Is like that because you're going out there, you're doing something new. There are tons of people that I know that have never been that really want to go, and for various reasons they haven't. But it's important to maybe take that collecting thing and go and enjoy another aspect of that love of the thing. You know what I mean? Because in the end, it's going to give you so much more of a worthwhile perspective on things. You know what I mean? And it's going to ultimately mean way more to you in the end than whatever dozen X plus stuff you're going to be getting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I have another friend, and I'm not trying to bash on him, but he's been wanting to. He went to Japan 6 years ago for the Shin Godzilla premiere. Is it 6 years ago? I guess so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man, time flies.
I know.
6.5 years ago, actually, I think. That's what. But he's been wanting to go back ever since, and I'm just like, dude, you got the funds. It's sitting in your boxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hold off on that, or you sell that. I mean, there it is, right there. I think that it takes a little bit to recognize, and it takes a little to get to that point. I kind of went off into a tangent. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that kind of thing. Is you're trading little things for more of actual real life memories and experiences.
Going out, I'm not trying to say go outside and feel some grass, because collecting is fun and stuff. But I mean, how much cooler would it be if you've never been before? You go to Akihabara, which is basically Weeaboo Disneyland, and you go on a little toy hunt. You know what I mean? You're gonna be just inundated with stuff. You know what I mean? It's the same thing at a convention. I mean, you're still going out there and experiencing stuff, but it just brings a little bit more of a perspective, and you might be tempted to spend a lot of money, but you might need to hold back. But I don't know, man. It's a lot more of a fulfilling thing than just oh, hey, look, here's a hunk of plastic, cool, shaped in the form of something I enjoy.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you too, on that idea of calculating how much you spend, and then figuring out is that worth it? Is all that money worth it? I would say no also, because at the end of the day, when I sold everything, when I was downsizing the collection like crazy, the amount of money that I spent on all that stuff, you're not going to get that back if you try to sell it all. Because one, for me, I took them out of the boxes. They weren't mint in boxes, so of course that automatically drops the value. And they've been sitting on a shelf for a bit. Maybe they have some dust on them or whatever. That the amount that I got back was like a fraction of how much I spent on all that leading up to that moment. So that's another thing too. It's like you either, if you know that this is something that you really want to get into and you really do want to spend all that money, you got to know that if you want to sell that stuff, you're not going to get that back. Like you're going to get a little bit of it back, and it's going to be like a good amount. Of course, it's not just, you're not going to get like nothing, but it's not going to be the amount that you put back in. So the investment that you're doing is, again, it's something where investing into stuff like that is not necessarily the same as investing into going to a trip to Japan. Or like, you know, a lot of things like with us content creators, investing into pieces of hardware. I actually just got myself a new computer, which I'm using right now, and it has helped me make production stuff a lot easier. Photoshop opens up quicker. Premiere Pro opens up faster. I don't have crashes happening, glitches, or anything like that. This computer, yeah, pricey, but at the same time, a way better investment than going out and buying a piece of plastic that's just going to stare at me while I sleep. You know, so it's again, it's one of those perspective things, and that was a really good point, Matt. I really appreciate you bringing that up. So yeah, the last topic that I want to talk about with this, and then we'll go into a lot more positive stuff, guys. Trust me, we're almost through it. Is this thing that I've noticed throughout the years? Again, and it's like a lot of this is from my experience, so yours may vary. But when doing content creation in this fandom, in terms of the merchandise and figure collecting and all that stuff, the thing I've saw a lot is this romanticizing of collection hauls, or bringing back stuff that like the amount of money that I spent means I am a better G fan than you. Again, I'm not calling anyone out, I'm not saying it, but I have seen it. I have seen it where there are people out there that think that in order to be either a true fan or someone that's like, hey, if you're in this collecting group, you need to have these standards. That there's just this weird romanticized thing of it where it's like, yeah, I went to G-Fest and I brought back like thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and I look at those and I just go, oh, like it's not good, and it's a lot of young people too, and that makes me a little sad, because I'm like, wow, like you could invest in something, especially right now, like college maybe, or like something that's a little bit more worth saving up for. But I've just noticed this thing of that, and that's another big thing that I want to make sure. And I said this actually, Everett will know what I'm talking about, Godzilla Fan Freaks, if you're watching this. When I went to no, Matt, you were there too, actually, duh. Arizona in the Tucson.
I've never been around you a day in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was
never in Tucson, Arizona with you in 2019.
It was a you were a mirage or something. Or yeah, it was Fever Dream. Yeah, I've watched your channel so much, I just imagined you.
I am just a figment of your imagination. I don't
oh God. This conversation needs to go somewhere else. That's great. No, but when I was in Tucson, Arizona for the Godzilla Festival that Everett put on, he had a panel. I think it was similar to we're talking about collecting, but it was a lot more lighter. But there was a section where I remember, and I think one day he'll have a video recording of it. I know he recorded this, so one day he'll post it on his channel, hopefully. Everett, get on that. During the panel, there was a part where I do remember I felt like I had to speak it, because just the same thing, like I feel like I have to make this video just based on my experiences. I was like, do not let anyone out there tell you that you need to have this amount of figures, or you can't buy that certain figure, otherwise you're not a fan. Like, don't let anyone tell you that. I am still a huge Godzilla fan, and you guys can see what my collection looks like, and it is like literally just 2 shelves, very spread out, very small amount of stuff. But those things on my shelf right now, I can look at my collection and be super proud of it and be like, those are awesome, and I'm still a huge fan. Just because I don't have this giant wall of plastic behind me does not make me any different than anyone else in terms of the community. You can even be someone who doesn't even have a thing of merchandise and still be a fan. You don't have to collect anything. Let's say you're a streamer, you watch the movies on I don't know, whatever sites are streaming them or something. If you're just a fan, like you just like watching the movies, that's perfectly fine. Don't let anyone say that, oh, you need to buy all this to get into cool kids club. Like that's something that I've seen, and it's horrible. Like it's one of those elitist fan mindsets that's just, it's in every fan base too. It's not just the Godzilla fan base. I'm not saying that, but it's a pretty bad habit that I think needs to be eradicated, because it's just a bad mentality to have, because then you're teaching that to younger generations, and they're going to hit the same problem where they're going to buy all this stuff and then end up impacting their life horribly, and it's not going to be good. So that's just a little, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I just felt like that was, another thing there.
No, I think it's important, and I got to tread lightly on this, because I think there's two different things there. You know, you had mentioned, and I'm not calling you out, just so you know.
Yeah.
You had mentioned like you see like these young people, you know, like with their G-Fest hauls and stuff. You know, it's entirely possible they could have been saving up all year just to have that experience. You know what I mean? Because this is like the only time they get to go. Maybe, you know, they asked for, you know, Christmas gifts and birthday gifts just to be money because in July they'd be going to this place that I really like. So, you know, we're not really quite certain about kind of like what their stories are in, you know, or anything like that. But then you talk about this other, you know, part of fandom and stuff. And, no, I am absolutely a grumpy recluse, and I continue to get grumpier and reclusier. I know that's not a word, but with this fandom, because I am no fan of this fandom. The description that you have given pretty much it permeates every aspect of this fandom, whether it be from the collecting side of things, whether it be from kind of like the more scholarly writing side of things. Like you got, they're all over the place. There's a lot of personalities out there that need to be the guy, you know, the king of the kaiju, you know, and I find those people old and boring and not interesting in the slightest, you know, and exactly what you said, really about kind of recognizing the importance of something, because, you know, this is gonna make me sound like such a butthead, but I'm gonna say it. And
say it. Do it.
It's just because of the fact that I'm honest. You know, the people who don't try to become like celebrities in this fandom, you know what I mean, are the ones that I typically enjoy the most, because they're not out to, you know, I have the most toys and my ego needs to be satisfied, that kind of thing. And look, I mean, you and I, we're of a different breed because we're content creators and we're creatives, and as creatives, we have egos. This is the bottom line. Some people's egos are bigger than others, but the people who aren't in our space tend to be people who are just like, yeah, you know, I really enjoy it. You know what I mean? And I always have much better conversations with that. Yeah. And none of these people should be dictating anything. Like, if you're a fan of something, you're a fan of something, you know? And of course that's subjective opinion. Yeah. I think that, you know, nobody, not myself, not you, not anybody, should aspire to be the king of the kaiju in this fandom. No. It amounts to nothing. You might get some, you know, fun experiences here or there, but your life's not going to change, and it is a fruitless endeavor filled with a lot of personalities of which belong in, you know, cartoons. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Just enjoy what you enjoy, and don't let other people dictate, you know, what you do ultimately. So
I remember there was a long time ago when I was in the Godzilla collectors group on Facebook. Like the biggest one. I think it was the most popular, because I know there's a few groups that are called the Godzilla collector group or whatever, but this one was like the number one, like had the most amount of people, all that stuff. Not naming names, but full of elitists. Oh my god. Me coming in there, having my background with Bandai Creation, no, Bandai Creation was frowned upon. They were bad interpretations of the Motherland's figures. Like that, no, you can't be collecting that stuff. That stuff is crap. You're not a collector. Oh my god, it was horrible. I had to jump out of that ship so fast. I was like, I'm not doing this. Screw this. I'm out. I'm not, you know, and I don't know if the group is still like that, but holy crap, back then, it was bad. I mean, you said anything good about Bandai Creation, and they would just, the comments, just bunch of negatives. All of it. It was like, wow, that's ridiculous.
You're definitely opening up a Pandora's box right now, and I'm not saying that in a negative way.
Oh,
because no, well, all I'm saying is like it is such that discussion. You know, I mean, that's gatekeeping involved, and then it goes into, well, gatekeeping's bad.
Yeah.
I actually would argue that it's not all of it. I think that form of it is bad. You know what I mean? But any form of gatekeeping that actively denies somebody from enjoying this or sharing in the love of it, it's negative and really is dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that kind of behavior is just kind of like.
Yeah, it turned me off way quick.
I let them be stopped. If that is their entire lot in life, is like, why I spend $3,000 a year on X Plus and you just do Bandai Creations. It's like, dude, if that is the high point of your life,
it's sad. It's sad. I'm gonna be honest. It's sad.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a very large thing that you kind of like we've kind of stumbled into on this, you know.
Yeah.
And I think you and I could talk for literally hours.
Oh yeah.
About just fandom discourse and stuff, especially on that side of things, because again, it's just the roots are so deep in so many different aspects of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just, you know, like ultimately too. Sometimes, even though it sucks, sometimes it's just better not to get into the online space.
Oh yeah. I was like,
nope. Twitter's a cesspool. Facebook is a cesspool. I mean, I know that there's always going to be personalities and stuff at the conventions that people are going to have issues with. I mean, that's been going on for decades.
Yeah, that's nothing new. Yeah.
But, you know, you can still find people, you know, and friends and stuff like this in the space. I mean, you and I have known each other for what, the better part of 10 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
Somewhere in there?
Pretty much, yeah.
I still hate your guts, but I still talk to you.
I know. I mean, I just, you know, I only have you on here because of brand name recognition. Yeah, that's the only reason why. I got to get those views.
Yeah, yeah. You're really scooping low. You know what I mean? I'm the only person that said I would appear on here. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
get someone where you can talk like this.
Yeah. You know, it's just there's a lot of good about it. It's just learning to recognize that negative behavior and just either brushing it off or just ignoring it or just not taking part in it, but maybe finding different ways to do that. You know what I mean? Just because you're not in a Facebook group doesn't mean you can't find the small Discord or something that maybe you'll have some like-minded people.
Exactly.
Or something of that nature.
Yeah, and it reminds me, this will actually be a good segue into the positives about collecting, because yes, we're gonna get ourselves out of the mud and be a little bit more brighter now. But I got to give a shout out to Rich Iso because you know, I remember a long time ago I'd be in conversations with him about collecting stuff, and you know, we would talk about Bandai Creation, and you know, he's told me on many occasions that he doesn't like Bandai Creation. He's not on that side of the fence that likes those figures. He does think that they are inferior. But when we met, it was always conversations of like, hey, but that's great that you're like in the hobby doing something. Like he told me, is like, that's great that you're at least collecting stuff like that. It's great that you're having fun with it. It's great that you're, you know, buying those kind of figures or whatever. Rich, I don't think he's never been an elitist fan. He's been like the kind of guy that he'll, you know, he has like the expensive figures, but he'll always be so happy with no matter what the young generation buys. Like when he does his last G-Fest, a few G-Fest videos, he's done those what did you buy videos, and he'll just have all these, you know, kids come up to him with all these different kind of figures, and he's just like, you know, just super fun attitude towards every single buddy. He doesn't analyze the figure they got. He doesn't look at it and go, you could have done better, or like, you know, how much did you spend on that? You know, he doesn't even care. He's just like, that's awesome, dude, like that you got that whatever figure or anything like that. So that's another thing. Like
that's a form of not gatekeeping. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
exactly.
acceptability factor too. Sorry to kind of interrupt you, but just with the Bandai Creations in general, or with Playmates currently.
NECA.
I mean, these things are accessible and available to young children or people who might just be, you know, coming into the collecting scene. Some people might not even know what the hell YMSF is or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like if they're getting into it, like just let them get into it. You know, just because they don't have, you know, maybe they have like lots of bills to pay, or maybe they're young and they don't have a job, and or maybe. You know, they have a family.
It's a birthday gift from a grandma.
Just because they don't have 5 Gs to spend on, you know, hunks of plastic means nothing, because all that means is that money's going, you know, in other places. Like, just let people enjoy what they enjoy.
I know. Yeah. You can't do that in this fandom. You can't. Nope.
Well, you know, like I said, I'm definitely no fan of this fandom. But
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry. Now you got me going on.
See, there we go. Yeah, see. Okay, so like I said, we'll get to more positive aspects. We'll go a little bit more of a speedier process with this last bunch here.
Cool.
But so the positive aspects of collecting, again, the biggest thing I think is one of the most fun things is the thrill of the hunt. I've had one experience in my life in terms of collecting stuff that was a thrill of a hunt. But Matt, I'm gonna let you go first. What was something that was a thrill for you to hunt down and you finally got?
Oh, dude, that's
Especially your history, because you know I know all the different
yeah,
stores
no,
you've been
the
in.
thrift store stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
thrift store
there's
hunting.
tons, you know. I mean, I found a Gorosaurus 93 Bondi for like $25, I think, or maybe even less than that, tagged. There's nothing that kind of comes across off the top of my head, but it's really just about, you know, just kind of stumbling across something. It's all a matter of being at the right place at the right time and luck. That's it. You know. I don't have a holy grail item I was like absolutely after or something. But there's been many occasions where it's just been like stumble into something like, oh cool, you know, the Gorosaurus, the King Kong pamphlet that I showed you.
Yeah, I think that would be a holy grail.
Well, dude, here's another one. Sorry, I'm gonna just show this off. War of Gargantuas. That's the original 66 or 66 one right there.
There you go.
Price tag 30,000 yen. So on a good day, that would be about 300 bucks.
Yeah.
$20 shipped. You know what I mean? But again, it's luck. There's nothing more to that. You just got to be on the lookout. So, but it's always fun to just kind of look for that stuff, and then when you see it, you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're gonna zero in. What about you?
For me, I'll always remember trying to. Of course, it's a funny story at the end, but trying to hunt down the 1984 Memorial Box Bandai figure. That guy is super rare everywhere, and it was at G-Fest 2015, my second G-Fest, and I remember being in the dealer's room, and I was like, okay, this is here. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna try and go for it, whatever. And I went to like 3 different tables, all of them saying that, you know, either we don't have it or we just sold our last one or whatever. And I was like, dang. And it was one more table. I think it was the last the second to last table told me, hey, check out that one table over there. I heard they have one. And so I remember rushing over there, of course, mobs of people, you know, so I'm just get out of my way, you know, and rushing that table and found him, like I had him there. And it was just like such the coolest feeling when I got him. I was like, yeah, I have him in my hand. And then, of course, many years later, sold the guy and regretted it ever since. And again, Everett, he will never let me off the hook with that. He'll always give me crap for it. Like, I remember when you got rid of your 84 Memorial. I'm like, yes, Everett, I know. So, but that was a fun thrill to hunt one. I think also that kind of Matt, because you said you didn't necessarily have a Holy Grail figure, right, or any piece of merchandise necessarily.
I got favorites in my collection, but there was never like that one where I'm just like, oh, dude, like this was the one that I was like looking for so long, kind of thing.
For me, I think when I found the 50th anniversary Perfect Soundtrack collection, the 6 boxes, that when I found those, I remember a long time ago I don't even remember the site anymore. It wasn't eBay. It wasn't any site that I don't think anyone knows about because I don't even remember the name. But they had them in stock for some random reason. Because I was just scouring Google for this box set. Because when I first discovered that box set, I was like, that's what I want. I want that. Because I love the music of Godzilla, and the fact that I can have all of them in this amazing arrangement with a bunch of bonus material and extras. Awesome. And I remember when I was able to just get all of those, I was like, yes, this is, like, I think if you look at my collection now, I would say that's a holy grail. Like, those 6 boxes right there, that's just, yeah. I think same thing with getting deals. You've talked about it many times. Probably in your, adventures of thrift stores and all that. You'd come across, like you said, the Gorosaurus, and the pamphlets there. That you found those great deals on them. I think for me, I don't remember if I've ever come across like an amazing deal on something. Yeah, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head with that, but. I think also, the feeling of accomplishment that people get when you either finish a line. I remember when I finished or at least when I got caught up with the Bandai creation line, that was a really cool feeling of accomplishment. I was like, yeah, look, I was able to get all that. That's cool. You know, that I know can also be a good, you know, dopamine rush with that. In terms of that, was there anything, Matt, in your collecting career that there was like either a line of something or a series of pieces of merchandise, was it was figures or movies or something that once you finished collecting it, you were like, yes, I feel accomplished? Like, what was there anything in that?
Off the top of my head, honestly, no. Mostly because I don't think there was anything I was like, you know, I absolutely have to have every single one of these. Like, there's a couple of book, like, series, you know, behind the scenes stuff that I collected all of them because they were just such great things. I mean,
yeah,
you know, so some complete sets here and there, but nothing I was just like, oh man, I'm so happy that now I have like all of them now or something like that, because it's always expanding, you know. It's just like there's it just seems like there's never an end to collecting one thing.
I think with everybody though, especially everyone watching too, that in terms of like the basic thing that every collection has is Godzilla movies. I feel like that's the base, like that's how you start, I think, initially. For me, I know that there were many different stages where I was like, I felt accomplished when I was able to get all the movies on DVD. And then Blu-ray was coming around with all those releases. Like now I feel super accomplished because I have every movie on Blu-ray. But now I have this new thing where I want to get them on steelbooks. So the only steelbook Blu-rays I have are the 1998. No, I know. I just, you know, talking about, you know, the fan base gatekeeping. Like, oh, don't talk about 98. Oh, no, I will, because I enjoy 98. Suck it, internet. So, I have a steelbook of that. I have and then I have the steelbooks of all the MonsterVerse Godzilla films. So, like, of course, those are the ones I can get because the others, they haven't even made those. But if they did, I would upgrade those. So, like, I'd upgrade my current Blu-rays to the steelbook ones. But, like, so that's going to be like I don't know when that will happen, but if it ever does happen, if Toho ever decides to release a steelbook set with, you know, and have it as a region 1, not just a Japanese only release, but like a, you know, American release, something like Criterion or whatever. Like if Criterion did what they did with Showa, where they did a Heisei and Millennium set, you know, I would totally buy that. I would be like, okay, I'm going to trade in my other Blu-rays and get that. Because what I do is I upgrade my media now when it comes to the DVDs. I don't, because I used to have VHSs and old DVDs and all that, but I was like, I don't need multiple, you know, same movies but different formats. I just want the one movie in the best format that it's available at. So for me, I'm like, that's at least for me, that's the 4K Steelbook Blu-rays. That's like the best one you can get at the moment. If there's anything else that comes out after that, then I guess so, but that's as far as it is right now. So, but like the Showa movies, I think the best set is the Criterion. That's like the best version you can get of those movies on Blu-ray because they have a bunch of extras, and also the movies just look really good in HD. Like they really cleaned them up. So, you know, that's that. But is there like for you with movies collecting, like, I mean, do you have all the movies on Blu-ray or something like that?
I do.
Okay.
Some of them strictly in Japanese too.
Oh yeah.
Like but they're like the official Japanese releases.
Oh, the Toho ones on the
yeah. So like the anime trilogy, Singular Point.
See, that's the stuff I'm waiting on. I'm like, I want to wait for an American release, but I don't know when they're gonna do that. I'm like, I'm just waiting.
I wouldn't hold your breath, you know. I wouldn't hold your breath. I think Netflix has pretty much been like, no, we're just gonna keep it as is. But yeah, with the movies, like, you know, like I used to get rid of a lot of them. I used to do what you did and stuff, but then I found out that with the because if you remember, there was that Kraken release thing they did. They released like some of these, like Godzilla versus the Sea Monster.
Yeah, I remember those. I had those.
And there's a couple other ones that they did, and I got rid of those because I was like, oh yeah, like Criterion set's coming out. Then I found out that those copies are actually better in terms of the transfer than the Criterion set is.
Oh, they
because
are?
The Criterion set, because the Criterion set uses like 2008 transfers. They're actually worse than the current Japanese, you know, sets because Toho doesn't want to reverse import or have that problem.
Well, thanks, Matt. Now you just ruined my collection. I'm gonna have to sell
I'm
everything.
sorry.
I'm gonna have to rebuy those Krakens, and I know that those are expensive.
Never stops. You know what I mean? So now you just got to reacquire. So it's Yeah, I have all the movies I think now on Blu-ray. I mean, because the Criterion set is good. There's plenty of things in there that like you can't find
I think
elsewhere.
it's just
You
the
know,
bonuses are really cool. They have a lot of featurettes that
the
are
bonuses. I
cool.
mean, but again, like where are you going to get in the West? Where are you going to get Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla '74 on Blu-ray?
Exactly.
Like,
It's the only way.
you're not going to be able to find that.
Yeah.
But I've kept all my DVDs. I've kept all like I've been keeping most of these releases just because it's like there always seems to be something missing with every, you know.
Right, they can't
other
just make the one perfect. If it, like the perfect soundtrack collection, it's perfect. It's there for the title's there for a reason. But there's never been a perfect movie collection, you know, with everything.
No, no, and I don't think there ever will be. You know,
Right, because it's just
a host of
it's
reasons,
too many
but,
too many hands in the cookie jar, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with those movies, they're
So-
tied up in so much. Yeah, so I think this is the same thing for the anime trilogy and Singular Point. I think Netflix, you're right. They're just going to hold it for as long as they can, and then probably 10, 20 years later, we'll eventually get some type of, you know, format like physical media or something. Or I don't know, maybe even by 20 years, everything will be digital anyway. So I guess it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, 20 years from now, we're not even going to own movies anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have the privilege of like, you know, digitally owning them until the companies decided they want to yank it.
Yeah, until they cut it off. Yep, exactly. So, yeah. So yeah, so let's, I think ending on probably what I would say the best aspect of collecting is finding friends through collecting. Is, you know, you find those friend circles, you find those groups on Facebook or Discord or something like that that have similar interests in what you collect. I mean, there's literally a group for every type of collector out there. You got model kit collectors, you got X Plus collecting, Bandai collecting, NECA collecting, stuff like that. I mean, there's just all sorts of people that you can find, and I think that that's, you know, again, there are a lot of friends that I've made have been because of the collecting aspect of Godzilla. I would never have met any people of the people that I know. Like I said, Rich is one of them through X Plus, and so yeah, I think that's a very important positive aspect of collecting. And I think what goes into that is that your friends can also keep you held accountable for those red flags or whatever, but also can be there to help like awesome trades or awesome discounts and be like, hey man, I'm looking for this particular figure. Where can I find him? Like, you know, I remember going to Rich all the time when I was buying X Plus, going like, hey, where can I get this guy? Where's the good deal for this? Like, he taught me how to use Hobby Search. He showed me the best places to research and all that. And I remember him always telling me like, don't do eBay for X Plus, do not do it. It's unless you have to, like, unless it's whatever, but or unless you find a really good deal on eBay. But I remember he was like a really good just a teacher in that aspect. So I had a lot of fun with collecting stuff just through finding friends and just discussing it and making videos like this one in particular. Doing this video about collecting, regardless of how negative it can get or how deep or whatever, this is a lot more fun than waiting for a figure in the mail, because I'm actually able to talk to a friend about figures and having cool different opinions on stuff, and like, this is something that's, I just feel a lot more valuable than a hunk of plastic. So
Totally. Yeah, there's not really much to add on that, because it's like, when I was younger, my grandfather, he was a big model railroader, and he always would get together with his fellow model railroaders. They would all get together and do their little thing, and it's just having friends with a similar hobby, especially in such a niche thing like this, is always very cool, and it can always lead to some very cool things. Whether it just be in terms of like you could get people to cut you deals or trades or whatnot, but also just because of the fact that it's nice to talk to people about this stuff, because not many others really can tell you the differences between Sanda and the Gyra X Plus or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like random things that most normal people are not going to understand what the hell it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's really, I mean, when it comes right down to it, like when we're talking about the fandom at large, I mean that's the best thing, is just to be able to find those friends in there, within that space. I've made friends through the collecting scene. I've made friends through the content creation scene, and it's the best part of the gig.
It is, hands down.
It's a small part of the gig, but it's relationships that you make there are gonna, theoretically last a lifetime.
Yeah.
I've made some incredibly good friends out of doing this.
I mean, not me though, because we hate each other. But we're just doing this.
It's not like,
We're just doing this
you
for the
asked me an
views.
important question or anything. I don't know if that's public knowledge or anything.
Yeah,
but...
no, not yet. But yeah, it's yeah.
you can cut that out.
No, it's good.
Yeah, but definitely, like you and me, I'm only here to hopefully get a little bit of boost on my side. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's just
my analytics,
yeah, exactly.
my vanity
It's
metrics,
just
that kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I'm hurting with views, so I gotta just get some type of brand recognition. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
And everybody knows monstrosities, whether it's good or bad. So it's
Mostly bad, but yeah.
Every time I talk to you, you always say that. Mostly bad.
Well, it is mostly bad. Like I make enemies out of everybody, whether intentionally or not. Like it's just like
Well,
I'm,
well, Matt, you haven't from me, so you're good. You're good there. So, yeah, I think also a last little part on that. I think also living vicariously through other collectors too, and living through friends that have either a figure that you really want, but you get that excitement through a friend that you see. Like for instance, I sold my 84 Memorial Box figure, but Everett, every time we talk about it, I know he has one. So I just get giddy and excited just to see that he has, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I got my dopamine. I don't need it, but I'm excited. I live vicariously through him of having that. I think, and also like he's been on a collecting binge of vinyl records of these new the new vinyl records that are coming out of some of the Showa films, and that's another thing that I've been living vicariously through him, because I'm like, I don't really need those, but it's just I watch his videos and I get excited. I'm like, that's awesome, like that's cool, that's a cool piece of merchandise. So yeah, so that's what I would take away from that. Is just I think the more important thing is friends, having those circles and whatever. Yeah, but that I think is going to conclude really this discussion. There's not much else to go over. I know that the main bulk of it is hard. It's hard conversations. It's tough, and there, to be honest, there's probably a lot of things. Even as I look back on this video as I'm editing it, there's probably going to be things that I wish I would have said, or things maybe that I wish I wouldn't have said, or whatever. But this type of conversation, I think, is something that needs to be talked about more. I think people need to be more comfortable talking about it. It's okay to talk about these certain things. It's a thing of like mental health. It's okay to talk about that stuff. It's important to talk about that because that's what's going to get people through things. And when I was going through my dark times, I didn't necessarily have a lot of people that could help guide me to find the right way. I had to just buckle down and figure it out myself, which is fine, but I would love to have, if there was someone that was going through the thing, I would be like, hey, I've been there. I can help you. I'm very passionate on this topic, and it's important. I think it's definitely important. It's just the opposite of, like I said, the romanticized version of it, of collecting and all that. I think we need to also look at the other side most of the time. But it's what Rich has said a lot. Buy what you want, buy what you like. It's what Matt says at the end of his videos. Buy responsibly. Enjoy what you want. Get stuff that's really meaningful to you. I think that's the biggest thing. I know that a lot of the times when you want to buy a figure line, you want to get every single one of the guys in there. But if there is a monster or a certain character that you look at and you're like, I really don't like that character, then don't get them. Don't get them, because the company who makes them, they're not going to care. They just want your money. So don't feel like you need to buy every single thing just because it has Godzilla's name on it, or whatever you're getting, whether it's Ultraman or Gamera or whatever. Buy the stuff that really is important to you, and I think you're going to be a lot more happier with your collection that way, rather than feeling like dread of, oh my god, X Plus is releasing 5 different figures this month, how am I going to pay for it? Like, don't get yourself in that situation. Maybe pick one out of all those releases out of that month to buy. If pick the one that most excites you, and I think that's how you're gonna have a healthy collection instead of a detrimental one. So any last thoughts, Matt, on this whole discussion?
Trade plastic for life experiences.
That should be put on a shirt.
It should.
There you go.
And you can take that into a lot of different directions, but I think I really do think that do what makes you happy, but do it responsibly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I think if I am thinking right, because we're recording this a little earlier than Godzilla Month, but I'm trying to think this should be the second to last one. So I think there'll be one more Godzilla Month video after this, and it'll be it. But thank you guys so much for watching this discussion video. Thank you, Matt, for taking the time to have this discussion with me. It was very fun, as always. Yeah, and that'll do it. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
Start again.
I was about to say, because I wasn't smiling in the beginning. I was kind of
Hey guys, welcome to the last video for Godzilla Month 2022. In this, why are you laughing?
I'm trying not to look creepy.
Why are you laughing? It's because Warrior's going to the bathroom, isn't he?
It's just great background noise. You have great bloopers already.
I know. Which was my favorite. Which you don't.
I can't tell you the difference between the two. Take two.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the last video for Godzilla Month 2022. In this video, I'm actually bringing my fiance in for it again. You guys may remember her from the last two Godzilla Month videos. I basically like to torture her every once a year to participate in Godzilla Month, and it's really fun to do. I force her a lot to do this stuff. She really doesn't like to do it, but it's fun. For today, though, we are actually going to watch Shin Godzilla. You guys voted on a poll that I put out a couple months ago that was if you guys wanted me to show her Shin Godzilla or 1998. So an overwhelming amount of you guys said Shin Godzilla. And I was a little bit worried about that because I feel like 1998 is a lot more of a fun film for you. Shin Godzilla is not... It's not a fun film. It's dark, it's serious, it's very political, and the dialogue goes by real quick. But that's why I'm here. We're going to watch it. We're going to be fine. But first, she has seen other Godzilla films in the past. I've shown her 1954, the original. Do you remember anything from 1954?
I remember that was the first Godzilla movie you showed me, and it was in black and white, and their lips did not match the dub because it was the Japanese versus English.
I didn't show you the dub. I showed you the Japanese version. You didn't,
then I got mixed up with the other movie that you showed me.
Yeah, I actually didn't show her the King of the Monsters version. I wanted her to watch the original.
So then that's why it was even more challenging because I had to read the whole time.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I do remember, just it was a really old movie, so some of the costumes were just.
For the time, it was revolutionary.
I understand
but
that.
Nowadays, yes, it's not as spectacular. But
I just do remember I was not really engaged a lot with the movie.
Right,
it was a little bit slower paced, and it's hard when you watch movies nowadays to compare it to movies back then.
Yes. I also showed you 1984, which is my favorite Godzilla film, and that was obviously it was in the 80s. So, do you remember anything from that one?
I'm having a hard time separating the first two.
Yeah. So that one I think I also showed you.
A long time ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was early in our relationship. So yeah. Okay, then you did see GMK at G-Fest in theaters at the Pickwick, but you fell asleep halfway through that. Although, give a credit to her, it was very late at night. We were doing all the panel stuff and whatnot. It was a very busy day, so it was, that's.
It was a full house though.
There
was a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of people there.
With that one, that was another Japanese Godzilla film that you've watched. Anything with that one? He did fight like 3 other monsters in that one, but
I really just remember the experience instead of the movie.
Okay.
But I remember the audience got excited whenever Godzilla would show up or do anything.
They
that
do
made me
every 5 seconds. It's cheering. Okay, and then so those are the only Japanese films you've seen from Toho. So then the other Godzilla films you've seen are the American MonsterVerse films, which you actually sort of enjoyed.
Yeah,
okay.
I was able to relate more because the characters were more relatable in the stories.
Right,
and
it's
they
Americanized.
built on it.
Yeah.
So I do have more memories of
that.
I
know you liked Mothra. When she showed up all blue and it was all all cool.
Yeah.
And then recently the last film we saw was Godzilla vs. Kong. So, and I remember you were laughing at me when Mechagodzilla showed up because I was angry at that. So
yeah, there was a lot with that movie. My students were really engaged with it because it was relevant for third
Right.
graders too.
Right,
So
exactly.
it was exciting when I told them I saw the movie, and they were like, "What?
Like,
You saw it?"
what?
Because we saw it when it came, like on the day it came out.
We did, yes.
Yeah.
We are going to watch Shin Godzilla. So this is the next film that she's going to watch that's another Japanese film. So she's so excited about that.
So excited.
She's not a big fan of the Japanese ones. But
Is it in English?
yes, there is English dub. We are going to watch the English dub version so that you don't have to watch subtitles or whatever. Because I told you, if we were watching sub, you'd be reading text so fast because there's a lot of dialogue going on. So what?
Warrior.
Oh.
I do remember that it's challenging to watch because the English dub doesn't match the movement of their lips because it's
Yeah.
different language, which
Yep.
it's
That's-
culturally appropriate, but
that's always been the thing.
it's kind of, you have to get used to it.
It's always been the joke of Godzilla films. They've always been mocked for that, like the mouth's
Yeah, it
not
just doesn't
matching.
match at all, and
But
it's-
that's what they have to do. That's it. Okay, so a little bit first is that Shin Godzilla is the latest Japanese film. So it's from Toho. It's not from America or anything like that. And this one is significant because it takes it way back to the roots where it's dark, serious tone. There's no comedy in this at all. So it's like very serious. They're making it as if a very real, like if it really happened, like how would the Japanese government react to it?
If it really happened.
Yeah, if this was, they're trying to be as realistic as possible
Okay.
with that. But the thing is, the characters, there's not really any characters in this film. They're more like vessels for you to watch how you're going to watch a bunch of these characters that work for the government trying to figure out how to get through this, issue, this predicament with Godzilla. So, the thing with this film is that the original Godzilla was a metaphor for like the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was supposed to be like, the destruction and whatever. But this one, they changed it. It's a more modern thing. What, is the cat? I know. So
Just have to cut all those parts out.
I know. So with Shin Godzilla, instead of like being a metaphor for the atomic bombs, it's actually a metaphor for it was the Fukushima nuclear reactor that blew up in 2011, and then the tsunami that hit Japan, I think it was 2013 or something. Two devastating events for Japan. And it was basically what this movie is doing, it's actually mocking the Japanese government for how poorly they handled that situation. They were very slow. There was a lot of red tape they had to cut through. And basically what this is it's showing that's what Godzilla's the metaphor for. Is like, hey, like this, you guys kind of sucked at helping the people get through this. So, and you'll see that in this film. Like, you'll kind of get it. So I wanted to preface you with that so that when you watch this, you understand, like, okay, it's very political based with this film. So, and Godzilla doesn't fight he doesn't fight any other monsters. It's just him versus the military. So so it's not like, any big monster action. So, without further ado, we are going to begin watching Shin Godzilla.
Warrior, you're not gonna stay with Mom? He's probably not gonna stay. He's a little antsy.
It's like, nope. Like, Mom,
He doesn't want to watch it either.
Yeah. No, I don't want to watch Godzilla. You can watch Godzilla with me, bud.
Okay. He's scared. It's okay.
She's like, nope.
So this movie was made when? What year?
2016.
2016. I was like, because it looks newer.
It's one of the best.
Ew!
Yeah, no, it was one of the best looking films.
Here's all the info we have.
What was that?
You'll see.
That eruption caused a leak in the aqua line. Could it be related to that strange sea eruption?
We don't know that, not yet.
I know, I did not look at their mouths moving. I can't look at their mouths.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's
An
gonna give me
underwater volcanic
it's
eruption.
like vertigo.
It's realistic. It's what a lot of people do.
It's dangerous, let me film it.
This way, as they could be. Still, there's a secondary disaster.
Makes me laugh because now here it looks like no one's talking.
Attend an emergency meeting. Something.
Dun,
Like
dun,
what?
Colossal
dun.
creature said. There's some footage of it on.
We've been scouring online videos.
So is Godzilla a thing in their world?
Well, this is.
Look, time's
It's
a waste to you.
not really using the
How
original
about
as a
process
base.
of
So this
elimination?
is actually
I
Godzilla's a
agree.
new
The cause
thing
is a
for
new
them.
location.
Okay, that's what, because in one of
It's
the
not a
movies,
sequel.
right, in one of the movies they knew who Godzilla was.
No, it's not a sequel.
So this will be like Spider-Man, where it's like his new
Yeah,
story.
it's a completely new.
Okay, thank you.
Good idea.
Is he gonna be Godzilla's
I'm
BFF?
happy to report that all the-
Oh wait, so is Godzilla, is he gonna befriend anybody, or is he the
He's
enemy?
not nice in this.
He's the enemy.
They sat ready to
So
respond.
whose side are we on?
I am. Regarding
We're
the
on
Tokyo
our
Bay
side.
coastal region, we're currently
So we're
in
not on
evacuation
Godzilla's
repair in
side.
this
Not
level
really.
one, due to possible
that's
debris
sad.
and ash from the previous incident.
I liked
and
being
any
on his side in the
potential
other
future
movies.
ones, we're
See,
considering
this
the
is more of my
possibility of
Godzilla.
grounding all flights out of
The
Hong
scary
Kong.
one.
Because that's what the original was.
See, I like it. I like the
Please
color.
forgive me. I was just handed a
One of those
correction.
were.
It's been
And the crowd goes wild.
Pretty much.
Because they saw a leg.
This meeting's adjourned. All cabinet heads, please, let's assemble in the Prime Minister's office right away.
Stop this meeting to go into the next meeting
I was
to
about
talk
to
about how
say,
we're gonna.
who's doing anything?
So what is this thing?
Let's look at it from afar.
Unidentified life form, sir. That's
She's
what-
getting
Well, where's
it.
their military?
That name, it will more
Well,
than
they-
likely change since
well,
we're
Japan
currently
doesn't
compiling
have
a
as
list of leading
big of a
biologists
military
and
force
scientists
as we do.
consult with on the subject. Once
So
they'll come here for an emergency
they-
meeting test.
So they're not going to activate him right now.
No.
We need to.
I'm sorry, what is that red stuff? Is that blood?
I don't know.
We just got a report from the Bay Shore Expressway.
Or is it
It's
his
flooded.
radiation?
Damn, not again.
I don't know.
Capturing it. Sir, 3 experts have arrived.
not gonna give you the
I suggest we
answers
go
before.
consult with them right now.
What are they doing? Are they meditating?
From the TV images, it's indiscernible. Whether this thing
Maybe
could
we just
possibly
pause.
be a relic dinosaur or...
I'd make some decisions quickly.
No, the filmmakers, they went to extreme lengths to be as realistic, to portray how the government really does process these issues, these
Sorry to say,
devastations.
but that was a
It
huge
literally
waste of
is
time and
like
research.
this.
Those experts were useless.
So during the
Maybe
tsunami,
some people who know something.
this is what they were trying to figure out. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Determined which agency it falls under yet, sir. One of our scientists is of the belief that
So
the
this is how
creature's
slow
been
they
like
actually
more than
moved. How
likely
did the
crushed by the immense weight of its own body.
Japanese
So it coming ashore
community
should be
react to this
physiologically
movie?
possible.
We can't be sure
Um,
if that
it
since
was-
we're dealing with an unknown
It was
animal.
split. I'm pretty sure there was a bunch of people that were actually, because this movie,
I
some people
apologize
thought it
for
had
getting
another
the chief's
underlining
recording, sir.
political
But
message. I
just
just
as
can't
your
remember
experts have
exactly
already
what it was at the
concluded, I
moment.
believe the creature
But
coming
it
on
did
land
kind of
is
split
quite
some
improbable.
audiences.
I see.
You
Sir,
know, I mean, if you were Japanese,
offended?
damage
Some,
to the
yeah.
tunnels.
I mean, if you were watching this as a
I would
Japanese,
suggest that the sooner we hold
citizen,
an official
you would have a
press
different
conference
experience
and
with it because
public
it, you know.
Well, no, that's why I was asking what the reaction was for them. I wasn't asking what the American reaction was.
Yeah.
No, I was asking, like, as a Japanese person,
Yeah, I mean, some were.
what was their
Some
reaction?
didn't like what they were trying to say. They were trying to attack the.
No, that was my question. Yeah, I wanted to know how they perceived it.
Because even with 54, when that came out in the 50s, a lot of Japanese audiences really didn't like that. Because it was right after the bombs were still
A little
very
too
touchy.
soon, yeah.
The Aqua Line and Tomo River tunnels sustained significant damage. We're currently tracking the creature responsible as it moves up the Nomi River. We're yet to
Well, at least they have
possibly
people doing
identify what's
something.
around
Yeah,
it.
now they're doing a press
But we
conference.
don't
So.
believe that it can come on land. Even though it's unlikely, should it beach itself in the bay's shallows, there is no need to fear. Our experts believe its own weight would crush it to death. I repeat, there is no danger of the creature coming ashore. So please set your minds at ease. Thank you. That will be all. Sir, sorry to interrupt.
He's already on land.
What? Yes?
Yep.
Oh my god! What is wrong with his eyes?
Coming ashore, huh?
He does not look like your figures.
I was just
No,
proven a liar
it's-
on TV.
you'll
Sir,
see
my
Godzilla's
doctor's
very
office said
different
we're
in this.
supposed to give
He's
verified
very
info.
different.
Wanted to reassure the
Why?
Yeah.
How's that thing ashore? We don't know.
Some think it's really cute. Others think it's very like horrific, like.
Well, I think it is kind of awkward.
Yeah. It's a kind of a.
I wouldn't.
It's unnerving.
I can't picture him ill. Because he doesn't have arms either.
You'll see.
Or is he like a T-Rex or like a baby?
You'll see.
Sir, you need to set up emergency.
That does not look like him.
Oh, I was the first time seeing that theater. I was like, yeah. Imagine how G fans felt. You know,
I mean, he's a fine-looking monster, but I wouldn't say that he's
it's
Godzilla.
very different from. Yeah, it's different from the traditional look. Yeah.
So this is the 2-hour movie of them deciding what to do?
No, they figure out halfway.
Oh, okay, and then there's more?
And then there's, yeah.
I was about to say,
No, it's not just 2 hours of them being like, what do we do?
I was about to say, I got bored real fast.
Feature film in Toho of using a fully CGI model instead of a guy in a suit. So.
Oh, there it is. What the heck?
Turkey. We call him Turkeyzilla, I think.
Why now?
Some of the terms that they use for this guy.
Oh my. Oh, no, he has an arm.
Yeah, what's happening to him?
He's growing.
Ugh.
It's evolving.
Well, he does look better. Or he looks more like himself. He's like the Little Mermaid. Once he got on land, he grew. He grew. Can't get on land without the correct parts.
Attacker 1, copy.
I just think it's weird he doesn't blink.
Yeah, it's unnerving.
It just looks like
CV, it's attacker
fake.
1. Target differs from...
So they're clearly safe from him. Or are they?
And then people died as a result.
This is a simple profile I put together. It shows the 3 mutations we've seen so far.
It's a simple profile.
I know.
That's cute.
If we get any of them, then where's it coming from?
Ah! 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 Is this even possible?
What?
Quick!
This data shows radiation.
I remember the theater, the crowd laughed so hard because we weren't expecting it.
Well, I think it's funny. I mean, he clearly knows something.
Look at this. So many unilateral requests. Typically American.
I've got word about an assistant deputy.
Well, there's that.
Yep.
Requesting a secret meeting with the PM.
They're just gonna jab all of them.
He just left Yoga to Airbase and is already en route to see the PM.
We asked for
The
it.
whole world sucks.
Oh, it's Deputy Chief Abe.
And
All
Pupper.
I need is a favor that won't stain my record.
It's shit. Watching.
Who might that be?
A man who foresaw the criminal creature many years before it ravaged.
Yeah, how many times have you seen this
Are
movie?
you interested? We know he lived in Nottingham 7 days.
25 total.
Well, not Japanese.
I love this film.
Okay.
Former Gojira.
It's kind of funny how they mix it
I found one link.
because technically Gojira is the Japanese word and Godzilla is the English. So it's funny how they kind
Yeah.
of flipped it.
A violent.
I don't know if that was a dumb
That's
error or
apparently
something,
why he
but
put God in the name that he gave it. And that is his Godzilla theory.
But it's continuing to mutate since its body lengthened and changed after it came ashore.
Yes. It can somehow mutate itself to live both on land and sea. I have to admit, it's
He's
ability
Ariel.
far surpass anything I could ever imagine. This is
It's
all the
adapting.
information at my disposal.
This thing's not a molecular array, so how's it relate to Gojira?
Well, perhaps it's an analytical table, one with structural layers. Even though Maki
I will admit at this part I'm like I lose
we now have the
Too many big science words
too
for you?
many big science words. I can't. You should have seen me watching this in Japanese. I was like, because they talk twice the speed.
Do you know what coagulating means?
Yeah, you're stopping the blood.
What?
I've seen the movie.
Oh, I guess you. Well, it taught you something.
Oh, jeez. Let's not do that.
Your
No.
nose is too big anyway.
Thank you. Okay, babe.
Wow, he looks much better.
That's his final form.
I can't get the eyes out of my head though.
I know.
I thought of like big googly eyes.
Yeah, that's his main best.
His hands are still teeny tiny.
Yeah, it's like this.
It's because they used a T-Rex as a model.
Well, yeah.
Target body contains radioactive material. So pinpoint your attack solely on the thing's head and legs. All battalions ready to fire.
Target approaching. ETA is 3 minutes and counting.
Makes me giggle when they're in camouflage. Like,
I know, it's like, where do you
who are
camouflage
you camouflaging from? I don't really want them to kill him though.
Really?
Christopher, I always go for the animals.
Even something like that?
He's not attacking them.
16,000 rounds of machine gun fire.
Just wait.
Scratch.
Well, if you make him mad.
It's the commander. The use of all weapons.
I'll go sit there. They already did that.
Give the word.
Well, it's each raising the intensity of the weapons. So.
I think that lady would be a better boss than he is.
I know, right?
I think they can afford to hit a building though. He's gonna hit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Distance
Again, they're just trying to be more realistic.
Oh, is that why they call him Shin Godzilla? Because they hit him right in his shins. They did! I got it.
No, it's translation to like new or true Godzilla.
Okay. Multi-meaning word.
When the missile dropped, his eye, he had like a shield that went over his eye. It's like a second eyelid or something.
Oh, well, he's an amphibian, so I'm not surprised.
It was a quick thing, but yeah. I didn't notice on my first watch. I had to watch it a few times, like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, like
Rookie.
that. We're all rookies when it's the first time watching a movie.
I saw it.
No, you didn't. I had to say it.
Isn't that when you make a comment like, they just died?
Oh, they did. Yeah, they just died. At least that one tank didn't make it out of there.
I'm all for Team Alive versus Team Death.
I feel like if you were that close to him, you would die immediately from radiation if you were that close. You're taking so much radiation in the face.
See, that's why you're a buzzkill. You can't watch a movie like that, because then you think logistically.
This whole movie is thinking logistically what you're talking about.
It's this large? The damage will be worse than Gojira. The bombing zone's so fast.
We'll have to evacuate everyone underground.
They're using lightsabers. I know. That'd be scary.
This part gets pretty grim. Okay, this is day 2 of trying to watch this movie because the camera actually ran out of recording space. So that's why it's a different day, different clothes, all that kind of stuff. But we're continuing the movie pretty much now.
The helicopter's automatic.
It's just a movie. But he's her warriors. Oh, he's gonna try my favorite color, maybe.
What's that glove?
My light is purple.
It's the first time Godzilla's beam ever is purple.
Why is it purple?
They're just trying to be different.
He threw up, warrior. Well, shit. Oh my. It's okay, warrior.
We're really not liking that sound.
It's a little high pitched. The music is really funny.
It's supposed to be tragic.
I know.
Oh my gosh. I'll have to tell you the meaning about the music, like what they're singing, because it matches.
Figured. Well, if you bomb him in the back, he's gonna get mad.
And then he'll do something. Your eyes on the screen.
Well, he didn't do anything anyway. I know that's terrible.
The PM just got murdered. That's like if our president just got blown up by a monster, then what would we do? We have to get the backup.
We have the VP.
Exactly.
Hey, don't bite. See, he's sad now.
No, he's sleep. He's gone. He's sleeping.
Oh,
He
he's like a
dispensed-
horse where he sleeps standing up.
He dispensed all of his energy, so now he has to rest.
Makes sense. That was quite the dispensing. So that bomb didn't do anything to him, just made him mad.
Oh yeah, of course.
But it didn't like hurt him.
No.
At the moment, we've got several private companies formulating.
So they can't go close to him because he has radiation
Yeah.
by him.
Yeah, they
Because I was like, why? Well, gosh, he's sleeping. That'd be a pretty good time to go get him. But
Yeah, no, they can get radiation.
do
poisoning.
not enter.
Yeah.
So they have to do it from afar.
So they're still going to continue with their blood coagulant freezing plan.
I'm requesting that somebody, that Japan and the U.S. can perfectly
That is in English.
together.
I need to remember if she speaks in the Japanese audio that she actually does speak English, but it's kind of broken English.
Her lips just matched her words.
I mean, it could have, because I think the actress actually did speak English in the Japanese audio, but it's still voiced over in this. It's still
Okay.
English dub, yeah. But I
But
think,
her
but I
lips
think,
match.
but I think that actress really,
Sorry, water.
but I think that actress really did speak English.
Okay, because it literally matched. I was watching. I can't not watch so. Guess you better do your research. Thought you knew everything.
No, that's Matt from Monstrosities.
It froze shortly after the attack.
Looks like the hypothesis.
So will he answer that question then?
You better put in the comments.
It appears that Godzilla has some.
Well, they would make sure everyone was evacuated first, yes.
Well, yeah, but still think about it.
Well, yeah, no, I
You're still-
understand the
you're still-
destruction that would do.
Yeah, you're still going to destroy all of Tokyo.
Don't see a third bomb.
We have no choice but to put our fate in the UN's hands.
It's just really interesting because you just gave me a spoiler because it says it's not going to work anyway. Have they considered the fact that it
Think
wouldn't kill
about
him?
what's best for a post-Godzilla Japan.
Well, I mean,
Damage is limited to just 3 wards.
it's always funny in every Godzilla movie how they think killing Godzilla with a nuke would work, but it's like he was born by a nuke, so it's like,
But they don't know that.
If we can't put a stop to this soon, the nation will go into default on all of its loans.
Point for me.
For that reason, Japan needs international funding in order to survive.
So scrap and rebuild, huh?
To save Japan. There isn't any other way. Yaguchi, this is the reality. All else is just a dream.
What? They're going to use a thermonuclear missile? And drop that thing here?
The government just gave the UN its sanction to do so. That's insane.
Man is more frightening to me than Gogeta.
If we're to do something, we have to do it quickly. The UN will
they
be
just had to
given time
slide
for
that little
Mhm.
line in there.
for finishing.
I noticed that.
Every chemical company you know
Contact them now and ask them to open every line possible. You will? Thank you. Sending all pertinent data to you right now.
That's that's some English dubbing acting right there.
I guess spreading knowledge.
Let's rephrase those. Some poor English acting dubbing.
Yeah, you don't want to see the older Godzilla movies with those dubbings.
I'm sure you've already showed me one or two.
Those ones are really bad.
We're still working on logistics.
So now they're...
Wakey, wakey.
Yeah, you see stuff.
Eggs and
Yes,
bakey.
sir.
America.
Might seem long for Allied forces, but it's too short for Japan.
It's another English.
Well, yeah, those were... But what was nice about that scene is that they actually made us look at least empathetic. You know, they were saying it's not enough time for Japan, but we don't have a choice. So it's not making America like the bad guy, you know.
Well, that's good, because that would really defeat the purpose of this video.
Yeah, it's more
It's
just
really
like,
Japan's on Japan.
yeah.
Not as like a bad thing, but it's kind of like a shame on us thing.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? But sir,
That's what's really cool about this is there's not really a bad guy in this. It's just
Could have done better.
trying to figure, yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know how long he's actually been asleep for.
Yeah, I don't think they specify that.
We finally figured out the entire pattern. This new information came from making folds, just like in origami.
What we've done is focus on radiation as its energy. When the schematic's folded, it's a molecular chart for converting elements in the body. Gojira's body has molecules that can do this, and the proof of this is in the unknown radioactive isotope. I'm sure of it.
The way it works is
I start to lose it again here.
It's because they're talking science.
Do you understand it?
Well, you're talking. Shh.
into the energy that sustains it.
If you're alone. Sir, I'm happy to announce that we've managed to iron out the last kinks in the Yakuchi.
Can't you tell he's happy?
We ask your approval.
Yeah, he does have this funny face.
I'm sorry,
I'm happy to tell you.
but the UN resolution is what you're saying.
It's a little dig.
If we leave our country, it would be best guided by our own. Proceed to phase 2.
Was that their intention, to wake him up?
They have to. You'll see why. So now they're using drones instead of man. Yeah. Because of this.
Oh, yeah.
Surprised they never got
I was about to say.
lasered. Yep. He's officially shooting a laser from his tail. That's what half the Godzilla community was like. What? To be honest though, not the craziest thing Godzilla's ever done in the history of the franchise. So, just saying. It's like buildings getting revenge.
I don't really want him to die. I'm still at his side.
How? What? Stock footage.
Yeah.
I always wondered, what if those buildings didn't fall the way they wanted it to? What if it fell the other way?
So they're just trying to squish him?
They're trying to have him drop to the ground.
I don't like this movie.
Godzilla is not a nice guy in this movie, babe. He's not a friend.
Personal opinion.
I mean, but you're not wrong in how you feel. They
Of course I'm not wrong. You can't tell me my feelings are wrong.
No, I'm saying that other people also would agree with you that they also hate it when they see Godzilla get, hurt or whatever. Even when he is the bad guy. Think it's going to go well for them?
I hope not. Oh.
Yep.
Why are you laughing?
It's just such a crazy image. Just trains flying up and blowing up.
He's falling. Then roll out the second and third platoons. Second and third platoons, forward. Freeze the bastard.
Is that answer no? He is moving quite slow. Oh. Oh my gosh. It's frozen.
Oh.
No. It's Anna from Frozen.
I know what you're. That's. First, we have a Little Mermaid reference, and now a Frozen reference.
Okay, so who's gonna come kiss him to wake him up? Come on, they could have had a love interest.
They could have, but it's not that kind of movie.
The countdown was over.
Every movie can have a love
But it will
interest.
start if Godzilla
It would have
begins
distracted from the point of this movie.
moving. Nuclear weapons will be used to
Or
end
could have
this.
added to it.
I'm really amazed you agreed to it.
Japanese puppets, you mean? The fact remains,
See, they're flirting.
and accountability comes with this job.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
It's like humanoids coming out of his tail.
Ew.
Ew. Okay.
So that's the end, they froze him.
Well, yeah, but did you see what that was?
Yeah, it's a segue into the next movie.
Which there's not going to be.
Then what was the point of that?
It was supposed to be up into your... It's like your own interpretation of what that was.
Oh, what's your interpretation?
Little people is further from... Well, what I think it is that it's Godzilla evolving more. He was about to have, like, little Godzilla men come off his tail and, like, run around. But then he got frozen, so that's why it was like
Okay.
mid evolution. So that's what some people theorize, but there's many different theories of what that ending means. So,
Alright.
but that's it. Yeah, you finished Shin Godzilla, babe. If you got through another Godzilla movie, guys, that's a victory. So what did you think overall? What are your not interpretation, I guess, but like overall thoughts of this film?
It was engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't like how it ended.
A lot of talking.
A lot of talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was good that we did it in 2 sets.
Yeah, well, that's just because the camera went out. But,
No, it was pretty cool. I like all the messaging,
mm-hmm.
that they're trying to convey.
It's like one of the most political Godzilla movies next to the original, really. There's no other film that was this political. I mean, even the original, I don't think went in that hard with political messaging. So, it was, yeah. So.
It's interesting, though, because it didn't, you don't get a whole lot of closure if you said that they don't continue it.
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, they wanted to make a sequel. The director actually himself, as they were finishing filming, he was already going to Toho saying, hey, I want to continue this. And I don't remember the reason why, but there was something, because they were doing their anime trilogy and other projects, and Shin Godzilla 2 just wasn't in the pipeline for Toho.
It's unfortunate.
I'm 50-50 with it. I think that this film is perfectly good on its own. I don't think it needed a sequel because I feel like that might just ruin what it is as just a one-off. Because I don't think you could continue having this version of Godzilla fight another monster or something because he's so brittle looking. I mean, his arms are like here, and I mean, he would always have to be facing backwards to do like the laser if they were to go down that route. But how many times can you do this kind of film without it getting boring? Like if it's just him fighting the military again and again, it's like, well, okay.
I just wanted to know what's going to happen, what's going to happen to him.
Right.
Because is he going to be a statue forever? They said his isotope was 20 days or every few years, so there was just some unanswered questions.
Yeah, they did. It was sort of this. I mean, I remember in the theaters when that last that last part happened where they showed the clip of the
tail.
humanoid people coming out, I was like, what? And then the credits just all of a sudden rolled. I'm like, oh.
It's
okay.
just unfortunate because it seems like they were trying to get you to the next sequel, but if you don't commit to that, then it's just going to be unanswered questions. But
That's Toho for you. They always ruin a lot of good ideas that that filmmakers want to do with the franchise. I mean, there's so many films that could have been in this franchise that Toho was like, no. They're kind of ruthless with the cutting room floor. So
I mean, they've made a bajillion movies, so
well, yeah, but Godzilla would have actually fought Batman back in the 70s. If I'm not joking. So, but yeah, so I mean, compared to the other films that you've seen, I know you don't remember a lot from them, but like, where does this film sit? I guess I would say with the American ones at least.
I was about to say I don't remember
I know you
the
don't
other
remember
ones.
the first two, but like at least with the MonsterVerse films, like where does this one sit in that ranking? If you had to.
Well. Well, for me, it's just because I only remember bits and pieces of it. So, I mean, I liked probably the American ones maybe still a little better because they gave personality to Godzilla, and you liked him, you wanted to root for him.
He was the hero. He was. Yeah,
so
he was
I think I liked them better just for that reason.
There's a lot of fans that are like that. They like Godzilla being a hero. They like him being sort of this defender, anti-hero kind of thing. They don't.
And I like the characters that have like you care for the characters too.
And
I mean, I cared for like 3.5 characters during that movie.
That was the thing. I remember telling you at the beginning that really in this film you're not following.
I know. And I get it. That was their point, right?
Yeah, you're not really
purpose.
rooting for like an individual. It's more of just the government itself trying to figure out how to, So
no, I get the point was to send a message, not to.
It is drastic
root for
because the MonsterVerse films, you're following a set of protagonists that they're trying to make you care about them and blah blah blah. But
no, but I get it. It was a message, and so I think that's important.
Yeah. So, and it's a modern interpretation of what the 1950s film did, and so that I think but this is one of my favorite. I mean, but again, it's one of those films in the series that you either love it or hate it. There's really not that many people that are like in the middle of it.
Okay.
It's in the fandom.
I was about to say I don't love it or hate it.
I know you're not.
I watched it once. I'm good.
She's not a Godzilla fan, people. But for you it makes sense. But for a Godzilla fan, I've never seen someone who's like on the fence about it. It's either really like it or really don't like it.
Anything about Godzilla. That's not just this movie.
There are some films that are like universally like yes, that's good or yes, that's bad.
Okay.
And some are on the fence, yes. But
so
this
you're
one,
speaking for all Godzilla fans.
From experience of talking to a bunch of them on the internet.
All right.
So, okay, guys, that's gonna do it. That's it for Godzilla Month 2022. We're done, and
we're done. I'm done.
Yeah, she's done. She doesn't have to do this until another year later. So, Godzilla Month 2023. Maybe we can get her to watch more Godzilla films like this. How about it? Yeah, let's make her do that. Let's make her watch some of the old Japanese films that are super cheesy.
And one and done. No, I'm not doing that anymore. No, we're good. Be innovative. Think of something else.
No, this is funny.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next year for Godzilla Month 2023. Bye-bye.